Everybody, and welcome back to the Wildcard Podcast with KT and G. Well, G, we are finally in space. It's a great sight. Asteroids and meteorites abound. And we had a lot of craziness, but we also got some other things to talk about, such as the D2 chip and how did that Super League and relegation talk heat up? Boy, oh boy. What were your thoughts, G, before we get into the recap of the first round? Crazy first round. We had a lot of technicalities, issues, but we still persevered and got through it.
I think persevered and got through is definitely the way I would describe this round. I think this was definitely one of the more rough rounds of the season, on all fronts, unfortunately. Saw some good Uno, but we saw a lot of issues, unfortunately, which is interesting because most people, when we say that, would think it would be with the new bot, but actually it wasn't, which is really strange. We just kind of hit a really bad luck. With a few different things with Discord API and whatnot. We'll dive into that when we can, but yeah, unfortunately, some issues during this round, so not the best rounds per se in the season so far, but best thing we could do is make this next round even better. But let's get through the matchups here and just get this underway here and see what happened.
Let's get into those matchups. Let's start it off, G. In the old Venus region, obviously Tapir was on a bye, but it was Bowtie Ed. What a great game this was. One of the first games of the entire round, all the way handy dandy back on August 25th. Bowtie was really playing into that split ammo, which not a lot of people thought Bowtie could do with the control, but did a great job on the bot. Used a lot of card start variety. Ed was going light switch mode, trying to get a couple wins. Never really got the lock and key combo. Bowtie finished it off in 6 using a robust hand, but the first 5 games were very competitive. Came down to more of that split ammo versus light switching, which was a common theme in a lot of these matchups. And congratulations to both. Ed, you know what though, G, I will say, we're going to kind of go a little bit different route. The people that were eliminated, great season for Ed, right? We know he was supposed to have maybe 1 or 2 wins projected. A lot of people thought he would be on the relegation talk all year,
Yep.
and guess what? 4-win season, a lot of momentum. I think he's someone to watch. Made his commentary debut too, which we'll get into a little bit later. Thoughts on this matchup for Ed's season and Bowtie look ahead. Top 25 player, big match coming up.
Solid matchup, all things considered. Bowtie keeping some of that momentum up. I think a lot of people were having a few doubts on whether he'd be able to continue the momentum after a run to the regional finals in Jungle July. I mean, both players had a regional finals run this tournament, or not this tournament, this season. Ziemba with that breakout in the Masquerade May, and then Bowtie in a way breaking out in the Jungle July. So clash of those going head to head. Unfortunately for Ziemba, Bowtie's the one who comes out on top. But again, I mean, you said it before. This is just by definition a great season for Ziemba considering where he was last year. Won 6 games winless in the league. Finally broke through in the Masquerade May and made it all the way to the regional finals for the very first time in his career. So even if he just has that one run to tip his hat to, it is still a mass improvement over what was last season. So overall, great season for Ziemba. He's going to be back in D1 next year. We'll see what he does, and possibly doing some more commentary here. A lot of people liked his commentary debut in the match on, I believe it was Monday.
Nick and Brock.
So yeah, Nick and Brock. So a lot of people like that. So we might see him in the booth more next year. But yeah, good match all around. Good season for Ziemba. Maybe not the ending they wanted, but an absolute improvement from what can only be described as a disaster last year.
Yep, we'll see where Bowtie lands as well. We'll talk about him a little bit against Peter, which will be a big cornerstone matchup. Gee, well, one of the big upsets of the round. You know, I said last episode, can't count on Allen, and, well, he did not disappoint. Was not there for that match, so I had to do a little bit of studying on it. Just seemed like vintage Allen was back. Caesar really talked about how the split ammo was back, and it was a skill game, really, games 2 through 5. First game, Seth had a lot of cards, and then game 2 through 5 came down to skill, and the split ammo is just, you don't expect a guy like Allen, who's been nowhere all season, to pull that out. He keeps his hopes alive in the relegation battle for Seth. Not entirely out of the Super League conversation, G, mainly because there was some more chaos on that bubble, but
it's not looking good.
It's looking slim. It's looking slim for sure. Talk to me, G. Is there a bigger story here with Seth losing, and it says that he could be knocked out of the Super League, or do you think the bigger storyline is Allen starting to find his groove back? Definitely starting to crack into new territory after his first 3 matches of hell of Art, KT, and Cap.
I think in terms of implications for the overall season, I would say the Seth storyline's a little bit more impactful, but it's a great story for Allen. Finally breaking through, has had kind of a rough year in general, both on and off the table. Finally able to break through and get that victory here. Unfortunately for him, not quite out of the woodworks yet. He still needs to get one more win to get out since he did miss a tournament, unfortunately. So again, the way it works, so we gotta prioritize the attendance, unfortunately. So Allen's gonna need one more win here to make sure he's locked into D1 next year. If not, he still has the relegation tournament to try and stick in, which I mean he's got some good momentum after the Seth win. So who knows? Definitely could get it done, but gonna have to win one more, and he will have a tough opponent coming up soon. When it comes to that. But I mean, overall, good match. For Seth, this is not what he needed at all. Technically, he still has a chance at Super League, but I would say the chances are slim to none. He absolutely could not afford this loss, and losing 4-1 is pretty rough too. I don't think either player necessarily played terrible, but this is not the performance Seth needed, especially in a tournament where he needed to have a good run. So, in my opinion, I think the season's over for Seth, but you never know. We could have very, very surprising results coming up that maybe keeps Seth alive in the Super League hunt.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how that one goes. And I have to say, gee, this next match, I know you probably aren't going to give one or a siren on this one, but I would
This one,
personally say
I think there was some major implications with how this one went, but go ahead.
this was a terrible match from James Ellison, man. The first 3 games of this match, Chamek had no +2s or +4s at one point. He misses Uno a couple times, and then the momentum is just gone. All he needed was one win and assured safety going into. Couldn't find it. Disappointing. This was a match where Chamek should have no business winning this match. He was out hustled on every category of stats. Really had no momentum until those callouts being missed, and the whole platform changed back in his hand. We were very close to saying James Ellison was about to sweep this guy if he had the momentum, but it just shows you, G, on this new bot, one mistake can compound, and when he starts compounding, you're in an interest hole, and that's what happened to Ellison. Big win for Chamek. Obviously not a big win resume-wise, but a big win to get that magical number 9 on the season. Thoughts on Chamek winning and surviving with resiliency, and James costing himself here, maybe brutally?
Traumic, this was a great win, and I mean, he's one of those players who's trying to fight to get one of those buys into Super League. So definitely a good result there, especially when he wasn't really getting the best of cards per se. For Ellison, this is absolutely brutal. He was one of those people coming in who was on the bubble. He was above the cut line coming into the tournament, but gets swept. Probably just needed a single win because he was one of the safer people, but had 10 wins coming into the tournament and stays at 10 wins at the end of it. Absolute disaster. We will talk about what happens with Ellison later once we go through all the matchups and talk about the relegation battle. But slight spoiler: major implications that Ellison could not get a single game win in this matchup.
And then we talk about it all the time, G. You go to 4 tournaments on the season to set yourself up in the 5th tournament. It's that what if story. What if Ellison got a win here against this opponent? What if he just stole one, used a call out, right? It's those little moments in the season that you just never know when it could strike for or against you. In this case, it strikes against Ellison, but we'll talk more about that a little later. Gee, this is probably another game where I would have liked to not see it, but it had to happen. Carson Retro, and man, Retro, I think if you thought Retro had bad composure on the old bot, the new bot, my goodness. I'm not sure what he was thinking. I think this is a cruel lesson, G. You have to be even more composed on this new platform, because if you're not, with all the tools and barrels, especially next year when we get the card history for this guy specifically, it'll be interesting. Obviously, Carson moves on, but the bigger storyline here, G, in my opinion, is composure and how to stay clean and composed on this new bot. Something to look into. Carson was more of a low starter. It's a lot of 7s. It wasn't the best series on this bot, but we did say coming into the program, we can't fix anything. Doesn't matter what platform we use. We're playing mono on a table. You can't fix 5 to 7 card starts. Always going to be a luck-based game on that. And unfortunately, that's where we really went with 7s and 5s. And yeah, that's as you pay the consequences. What do you think of G overall, Don Carson? He's got an opportunity here, and Retro season. I mean, we know Retro had an already a win, but excluding that, kind of a nothing season for Retro. More of a empty promise, more than anything. What do you think?
Uh, Brett's going to end the season 2-5. Did get a DQ win though, so you could consider it 3-5. Not the best season per se, but I mean it's enough to stay in D1 in his rookie year. I don't know. I think he's going to need some. I think he needs some improvement on the composure side of things going into the off season. There's definitely a few struggles in that department there, but I think in general, overall, pretty good match played by Carson. Definitely needed this. I mean, there was some hype with Carson earlier in the season, but it kind of died out in the middle. But maybe a late run to resurge his chances here. But he's going to have to go deep if he wants even a chance to possibly even sniff a possibility of getting into Super League. But good match from Carson. I mean, Retro, I think some of the problems that have kind of plagued him all season showed their face in this matchup, and I think it's just going to be something in the offseason he's got to improve on. Otherwise, could be in danger of maybe being in the relegation battle next year. We know we got a lot of D2, we got 8 D2 players coming up, and they're going to be the best of D2, and a lot of them are very hungry to do very well, and I have a lot of faith in all of them to have a good chance and make their presence known in D1 next year. So. Going to be a more competitive field next year. I think Retro needs to fix some of these composure issues. Otherwise, he could get bit and possibly fall into that bottom 12.
We'll see how Retro improves in the off season, right? Big off season coming for the man from Oklahoma. Gee, this was a shocker, an absolute shocker. When we set this pod up, we knew there would be a possibility of a Carson Logan rematch. I didn't think it'd come at the expense of DJ Kerr. We both agreed that DJ needed this more and was hungrier. But man, he showed up flat like a soda pop that was left out overnight. Just too flat, way too lackadaisical on some of the card playing, I think, in terms of efficiency. Switching bit him. He just got outclassed here. It's a shocker because you look at DJ, obviously in the same spot as Seth, was coming in as the number 14 ranked player, but with one less tournament now. I hate to say, I think his Super League's over. What do you think, Gian? This is a tough one for DJ, especially who was the number 4 player at one point ranked in the year with those crazy quality losses to KT Ash.
I mean, you look at the Super League rankings throughout it. He went from 4th to 8th to 14th, and I think he had a good. He got a bit fortunate after tournament 4. I think some of the results flew his way, and he just needed to perform in tournament 5. But unfortunately, falls flat on his face here, and absolutely not what he needed. I unfortunately think he will not make the field here, especially with a missed tournament. It's just unfortunate to see because I think especially at the beginning of the season, a lot of people had faith Curtis could have a run here, but missing tournament 4 and then ultimately this disappointing result here, I think it's going to cost him. And Logan, I mean, props to Logan, absolutely huge result. Came in below the cut line on the relegation tournament, needed a big match and absolutely delivered. He jumps above, he confirms his safety into next year. Great stuff to Logan. He continues his run in the space of September. Maybe we could get a bit of a deep run going, maybe lead season push, but he's done what he's needed to do. Has secured his spot into D1 next year. Congratulations to Logan. A very impressive performance from him.
Yeah, Logan and Carson will be a rematch of T4 round 1, ironically, where Carson took the floor. We'll see how this second match goes into the Telescope 32. This was a tough one, G. This was a tough one to really swallow. I know this is going to be a long kind of two-parter here. Toasty ALP, this was a crackdown match the first 3 games. This is the only top 25 match, and it was going great. I know this isn't the Uno you and me like, right? We don't really pump and dump and just fire back and give guys 20,000 cards. But that's kind of what it was. It was a crack show until we had the issue. So what happened was, for the fans don't know, we had the game. It was on stream. I was streaming the game. I had nobody with me. Well, I had people with, but I had nobody talking with me. And ALP mentioned interaction failed. And I'm like, okay. So I think, all right, well, must be the bot. So I figure, okay, I'm going to reinstall it, right? Well, then 5 minutes later, someone hits me up saying, well, it's not the bot. It's the Discord API. Oh, boy. And when I reinstalled it, it must have built some type of code error, and it was a mess. And then we had to reshuffle the game and play it Friday night. And I think for ALP, he was down 2-1, but he had momentum in that game 4, right? Before the bot implosion, or excuse me, the API implosion, and then the bot kind of self-imploded after there. It's a what-if story at the end of the day, and I feel bad for both these guys because I think Toaster should have lost this series, in my opinion. even though he played exceptional towards the end of the Game 7 moment, ALP had the momentum, and you just wonder, what if, right? And we've had so many of these moments throughout the season where technical implosions happen. I think it was a great season for ALP, but you almost wonder, sure, the trend is broken, but what would have really happened if we had finished it out Tuesday? What do you think, Jay? Tough one to really call. And this was the start of corresponding delays, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I think it deserves the buzzer here, but I'm gonna give it. But this is not my personal worst match of the round. I will give it though due to the issues, but yeah.
Yes.
Um, so there will be another one later down the line here, but obviously you don't want to see what happened in that matchup there. The API issues absolutely screwing it, and in my opinion, ALP would have won if the API issues didn't happen. Unfortunately, the streak is over. Um, I was very confident he was going to make the round of 16, but unfortunately, that was not the case. Unfortunate end for ALP for a season that I think he overachieved. I think no one had any expectations for him going into this. He started as the overall, no, actually no, 61st. He started as a 16 seed, beat Onjak, who was a 1 in March, and then made a run to the
Defending
round of
March
16.
champion, too.
Yep.
Defending March champion, yeah.
Made round 16 and then made another round of 16 in May, but then had 3 first round exits in April, July, and then September here now. This one I think was the most unfortunate. I think he definitely could have had a shot to win, but Social guy's going to be the one who wins. I think that's definitely what he needed to make sure he's trying to keep his Super League hopes alive. Both these players looking to keep their Super League's hopes alive, but unfortunately for ALP, the road's going to end here. Unfortunate to see, but that's just kind of what happens. But I think overall, I think ALP should have his head up with this season. I mean, no one had any expectations going for him. I think some people had him at 0 wins for the entire season. Very well overachieved that. And we'll see what he does next year. Obviously, a few issues with his gameplay, but we've seen some bright spots throughout the year. So hopefully he can tune in on those to make sure those are even better, and then just try to minimize some of the issues with this game plan. But overall, great season from LaPlante. Just an unfortunate way to end it with the API issues.
We'll see where he is, 2G, on class. We don't know where we'll be on class. We'll see. That rookie class needs to be broken up. And you just wonder, too, if this was a normal rookie year, 4-win season for a rookie, that's pretty impressive. But there's been just so many good rookies that he kind of got overshadowed, which is crazy. And the last match never occurred. Look.
Listen. All I gotta say with this is it took 10 tournaments, but you finally got your first DQ win. Congratulations.
Took me 25 Series G.
Yep.
Officially, me and JT are now the only two guys in the history, if we're talking about round ones, to have never lost a round one. We're 10 for 10. Now, JT is a true 10 for 10 because I don't think he ever was on Bi Island. I was on Bi Island multiple times, got my DQ win here, but only two guys to never lose in round one. I think that's a testament to just how built we were, right? All I'm going to say is Payne overslept last night, and we weren't going to get it in. I was like, you know what? It's been a long round. I'll take the DQ win. This was originally supposed to be Sanford's potential matchup. He didn't really need that. I could have afforded one, so all good. We'll see how it goes with me and Toast. Will be a hard game to schedule, though. I mean, not for us too, but we got to figure out because it is streamed. We're gonna have to figure out who can stream that one. That's gonna be a fun one there, but we'll see how it goes. I look forward to the matchup. We'll talk more about that. First time, G, you don't have anything. You don't got to critique me in the first round. There's nothing to critique.
I mean, there's nothing to critique, but I do have to ask you this: is this next matchup important for you? Not based off like a Super League standing, but maybe like a morale standing. Because last two tournaments you've been out in this round, and I mean, if you go 3 for 3 and getting out in this round, especially heading into Super League, I feel like that's gotta kill some of the morale and kill some of the momentum you had built at the start of the year. So, any thoughts on this matchup and how important it is to you to get the victory here?
Well, the key is just try to learn to bot in tournament mode. And see what happens is when you have a DQ, you don't get that. Especially with a new player, you kind of need reps. I don't have reps, so I have to overcompensate a little bit with the practice sessions. I'll probably do with the practice ping, but Toasty's a good friend of mine. He's a good dude. Like I said, he's crikey, Shark. But we'll look forward to it. I really think Toasty brings probably out of, at least in my pod, I think all three of these guys, G, between you and me, Carson, Logan, Toasty, they all play a way more crackdown style. You know me as a polished guy, you're going to put some carnauba wax on the car and it's going to look shiny. These guys, you can get that going in the mud and the dirt and you try to wash it off. It's not easy to wash off. I'm going to have to learn a little bit because most of the people I played in March from DJ onwards was polished players. I haven't really got a polished player since Alan and Seth and T3 and Cody. I've been playing polished players all as Peter. This will be my first true unpolished player since probably Rad and Acosta. It's been a long time since I played an unpolished player. So we'll get more into that preview when we get to the next round. But yeah, I do look forward to getting back on the table for sure. I know Toaster won't. He won't do that to me. We just got to find a streamer. So we look forward to having that coming up next round. Gee, this next match, well, it's none other than yourself. And you're playing out of control is the way we roll style. Really throwing moves out there that got Clay, T5 Clay for that matter, basically in a pickle. I thought you did an incredible job. I had some internet issues, unfortunately. I think Yoshi did as well, ironically. So it happens, unfortunately. But great job on Sunday night. Great win, man. I went with Clay in this match, but man, you proved that house money is the best money, and you got the job done. You were the POV player here. What was your experience like playing Clay in a rematch? Too? You guys got to go with the trilogy next season, maybe. We'll see.
Possibly. I mean, that might have to get thrown on the schedule at some point, or maybe some sort of off-season thing. But I mean, I think I talked about this with you before we started the show here. The thing is, this has not been a great season. Only have one win here, 4 losses. Not really what you would expect as a follow-up for making Super League last year. So it's been a very rough season for a number of reasons. At this point, especially with my game wins record, I felt at this point I'm safe. So I really didn't have anything to lose. And, when you don't have anything to lose, I think that kind of makes you a major threat. I really have three modes, I guess, in a way, if you want to call it that, when it comes to this league. One of them's the streamer commentator, breaking down the action and whatnot. One of them is to be commissioner of D2, being the authority figure there. And I guess the third one here is being a player. And I think the first two you could have a resemblance of what I would look like and how I usually act with that. For the third one, I think you really aren't going to be able to know, and I think you definitely saw part of that in that matchup there. Another thing also is sometimes I usually was doing the move that may not have been the most optimal, but it was the one that was the most threatening in a way. And I think that's something I'm going to really try to see I could work with here, because I think for most players, a lot of them are very concerned with this tournament, and I think a lot of people in my path really need to have good runs, and I think fear is a very powerful tool when it comes to trying to beat your opponent. I really need to use more mind games throughout the season, and I think now is probably the time to do so, and to wrap that up with fear as well, I think could really play into a huge advantage for me in getting into my opponent's heads. Again, I have absolutely nothing to lose, so the moment I lose here, it's fine. We're just off the next season, because the only way I make it Super League here is with a tournament victory. But if I get the tournament victory, season keeps going. I guess we kind of just keep going with the momentum, because I'm running on house money because I pretty much stole a bit. But if I lose, it's all good. We move on to next season, try to have a better year, and we'll see where we go from there. But I'm not going to really have any more concerns for the rest of this tournament. I don't have anything to lose here. The only thing I really have to lose here is I guess the 4 next to the loss column. It would be a 5, but again, it's just I'm running loose here, so I feel like everyone who should be playing me should be concerned, because I'm not going to be walking into any of those games nervous or stressed or anything like that, because I'm just going to walk in, normal part of my day, play the match, leave, and that's how it is. So a lot of these other guys have a lot more to lose. For me, I only have stuff to gain, so that's all I got to say about that.
No, it's a great mindset to have. Christian Tagle needs to be put on red alert. 100%. He's coming off a second straight by Island, and we saw that first one went. Let's see if he can put under pressure in the second time around. This one, G, though, another match unfortunately didn't happen. I think I'm going to say this one was more API issues. This was supposed to be played on Tuesday. I believe, or Wednesday, something like that. And we tried Saturday, and I wasn't here Saturday, unfortunately. And I guess when I DM Brando, he just couldn't make it. It's hard to say if Lane really could have afforded that. I really think Lane's in a good spot either way. With his strength of schedule and the chaos that happened behind him, the fact that we also have one big unknown that we'll talk about very shortly. I think Lane's in a good spot, G. I don't really have much to say for Brando. It's unfortunate way to end his season, and a lot of these relegation guys, man, never got a chance to play this tournament. We'll see him in relegation. What really your thoughts on Brando more than Lane? Because we know Lane. It's Lane, right? We still have no idea what Lane will do on this new bot because remember, was it the luck on that last tournament? We'll have to figure out that. But your thoughts on Brando more than Lane because Brando now will enter the relegation tournament.
I think this is unfortunate for Brando because I think out of the three people who were 0-4 going into this tournament outright, I think a lot of people slated as Brando maybe having the best chance to get the victory here, but unfortunately, the match never happened. Lane's going to move on. Again, Lane has the strength of schedule here, so DQ loss might not be the worst thing, but I mean, if he loses in the next round, that could be a problem. For Brando, we'll see what he does. Relegation tournament's looking to be very strange right now, not the way a lot of people were perceiving it to initially be, but who knows? We'll see what ends up happening with that and how it all plays out, but yeah, I mean, that's all I really gotta say. We'll see what Brando does in the LCQ, not the LCQ, the relegation tournament, because even though he DQ'd here, he will likely be playing in that to fight for his D1 spot. But yeah, we'll just see what happens there.
Lane moves on. He'll get his with a 7th win on the season officially. We'll see what he can do against this next player. And gee, this was a masterful choke from Abi. I mean, he had the game wrapped up 3-1. All the momentum in the world, and Radin comes storming back with no ammo control, 7 card starts, and just found a way. And Abian Game 7 tried to power play Uno, and it gave away his platform. It gave away his platform when Rad was able to try to power play, and that pretty much sealed his fate.
Ending of the game was one of the worst implosions I've ever seen in this league. Like, power play miss, like, gets flustered, then plays a wild into the losing color, and it's like, you could not have stringed a worse combination like that. It genuinely crazy with how that ended.
I'm not sure what to even think, man. This really helps. In my opinion, this really helps. I was saying Lane. This helps Lane, right? Even the next guy we'll talk about behind or one above ahead, which in goes. It helped those two guys because a lot of people thought Abian would be a threat. I'm not gonna say his season's entirely over, but gee, I think he's in the same boat as Seth. And it's going to come down to resume, and I don't know if he's got enough. This is a tough loss. What do you think of Abian's? Ryan was already safe in D1, realistically. So really, just what was your thoughts on Abian choking this? Hard to really put into words. It really is. I don't know. Hard to say.
I mean, Rodden going 7 would have put him in a good spot here. I mean, if where would he have been coming into this tournament? I feel like he was actually was he at 8 wins? I believe he was at 8 wins.
Yeah,
Let me check
3
this.
would have gave him 11. That would have been enough.
Yeah,
sure.
I think that would have been enough for 11. So going 7 would have been fine. But I mean, oh my God, what a terrible implosion from Avian. This is not what he needed. He was 13th coming into this tournament. And with the quad 4 loss like that, I mean, that's absolutely devastating to your season. So I think Avian's in a very bad spot here. He is going to need to hope and pray everyone else below him just implodes in the next round if they haven't imploded already, which is unfortunately very unlikely due to how many people advanced. But yeah, I mean, he also needs to make sure there's no bid stealer also, because I feel like he's in huge threat of getting his bid stolen if even if the people right below him get out. If a bid steal happens, I feel like he's at huge risk for getting the bid stolen. So absolutely not what he needed. Terrible implosion at the end of the game. Was up 3-1 and blew it. I sound harsh with this, but I mean, there's no other way to describe it. I mean, for Rodden, I mean, I know we've talked about a lot about Rodden on this show, but I think it's commendable for him to stay in it despite being down 3-1. Brought it back somehow and got his 2nd win of the season despite all odds. So, good stuff to Rodden. Some questionable post-game comments afterwards. For some reason, thought he was the 13th, made him the 13th best player in the league after winning. That unfortunately, that is not how it works. But Yeah, Lane versus Rodden in the next round. That is going to be a very strange match. So we'll see what happens with that. But for Avian, he's gonna be he's gonna be on the hot seat for the rest of this tournament, and I feel like that hot seat's gonna blow up on him very soon. So not what he needed, and I personally don't think he's making the field.
It is definitely an implosion of all time. We'll have to study that one. What happened? Avian T5. We'll have to study that one for sure.
I could also say what happened in this next matchup because I don't even know what happened here.
I was not here either. Yoshi told me, and we talked about, was it the luck with Pat Johnson? Gee, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the rules bit Pat Johnson. He said after the game that he just needed the card history. And there's 2 players that said that too in their post game call. He said he needed the card history, and he had the hands. But I think this is going to be a new telling thing. Gee, when we get to that card history, you start to wonder, is that the missing piece to make these players great? Because they really didn't have much early on, according to Yoshi, and it backs up to where he just played the patience game. I really don't know what Pac was doing. He had the hands. I think it just came down to no card history and thought it was on the whole time. That's a sucky way to go out. But if that's the case, G, in my opinion, I think Pac will be back next year. He had been one of the biggest proponents of having the full version with the 4 max command chain and the card history on. Not having that, I think, gave him a little bit of a deflating look at this tournament. I'm going to say this was more of a skill game for Zay's aspect. I don't think we should read too much into this as a Pac. I think he'll be back. Zay, big win, long way away to go. He's going to have to win the whole tournament, like many guys left. I don't got much to say on this, man. It was non-stream. What do you think, G? A lot of 6-11s were non-stream, weren't the best games, to be honest.
I mean, we've talked about Mac Johnson going 7 in a lot of these games. This one only went 5, so kind of breaks the streak there a bit. But you could also argue the streak broke last tournament. I mean, that last tournament coming, the prior tournament coming in major clutch for Mac here because those 2 wins are what keeps him in D1. But yeah, not the performance he wanted. We talk about the card history here, and I mean, I think that's interesting because technically there is a way to still be able to track that. It's just it's just very difficult to lose track of it sometimes. I've done it before, but I usually only do it with the wilds and +4s. Could definitely is the card history is more useful to make tracking everything easier. Because definitely you're not going to have all of that in your head when it comes to later in the game. There's 108 cards in a deck. Not going to be easy to track all of them in terms of which ones have been played and which ones haven't. So yeah, we'll see card history come into play next season for Mac. Maybe that'll help him boost him out a bit. But I also think breaking the winless streak here is going to help him out a lot. So goes into next season, not looking for his first career win. Already got it this season. We'll see what happens with that for Zay. Continues the season on. He's going to have a very difficult opponent coming up ahead. But who knows? We could see a major upset depending on what happens. I mean, Zay has surprised me this season. I thought they were gonna not do as much as they have this year, but they've done pretty well for themselves.
We'll see what happens with Zay, man. He's got his chance to. He's got a chance to surprise some people. And speaking of what a resiliency effort, Aiden Smith had Ashley should have lost this series. I'm gonna flat say it. Probably should have lost this series or at least taken 7. Aiden Smith was absolutely on the ropes until he forgot how to call Uno. And after that, a massive implosion on Aiden Smith. He cost himself a lot, not just for this match, but relegation as well. He's on the bubble. Hats off to the world champ. I have nothing but respect to the world. I was there for that match. That was basically took 6 games. So that was 1 game away from a game 100. We'll see her in game 100 special coming up in our next match, game 1 against Zay. That's why she's a world champion, G. Never gave in, never gave up. Probably on double by Allen at this rate. 11-win season. I think someone made up a good nugget. I think 50% win ratio. 11 out of 22. Remember, she didn't play T5 or T4, and then she was on By Island or something. I think it's batting 500 on the year. You bat 500 in a season. That's Hall of Fame numbers. Sort made a good point about that. Nothing but the best to the champ. I mean, congratulations to her and for Aiden Smith. That's just got to be better on those simple call-outs, man. You got to know how to call Uno. It's not acceptable to miss it 2 or 3 times. And on a power play, too, to burn that. he lost all the momentum. What happened here to Aiden Smith? They're terrible collapse. Or do you think the bigger story is just Ashley winning and showcasing her brilliance? What do you think is the bigger storyline coming out of this one?
I think for Ashley, most people think she's safe into the field, so I would say the Aiden Smith situation here because he might be on the bubble here, but I think his 2 wins could potentially save him. Because he went up to 10 wins here. He was at 8 going into this tournament on the bubble. Was able to pass Ellison. And the 4-1 victory he had over Eli earlier in the year is coming into huge clutch because he beats out Ellison in terms of the game win percentage. And right now, possibly a slight spoiler alert for some of these other matches, he sits 52nd, last spot in, and gonna have his fate determined pretty much in the round of 32 here. But that getting those 2 wins could prove to be incredibly clutch, but we'll have to see what happens. For Ashley, good result there. We didn't see her in tournament 4, but able to come back and come back strong with some resilience here, especially in a game where she was a bit behind for most of it. So good to see Ashley back, puts on another great performance, and we'll see her in round 32, see if she could get the job done again against Day.
Very good for Ashley to get her 100th game. I think we'll be the first rookie 1 of 3 on the next round, but I think we'll be the first one to do some scheduling, so we'll see how that one goes. T, what happened to Kev Shear? He didn't show up. This was a Stingray master class. Stingray pulled a Sean R. KT defensive power play to win it on game 3, and even before that, it just seemed like Kev was not throwing it. It wasn't the same Kev Shear that took care of Yoshi 4-3 back in T4. It wasn't. I mean, no, Kev had a great season, 4 wins, where everyone thought he wouldn't even be in the league anymore. But man, you just start to wonder what happened. Stingray needed the win for sure, but to get a statement win like that, with a lot of sweeps, the cream rose to the top, big one. What does this say about Stingray? Do you think he's got a chance in Super League G? A lot of interesting things ahead for Sting. He could put himself back in the ring after a crazy turn of events in T4. We just lost round 1.
Man, I don't even know what happened to this match. Just like how long this match lasted? Like I felt like it was under 10 minutes. Which is kind of crazy, but I might be wrong with that. I'm trying to find it. 13, just under 14 minutes. Game 4 was 36 seconds. Like, what on earth? What even happened? Kev just straight up didn't show up. I'm pretty sure Kev decided to go 5 in Game 4, and then Stingray literally said you should use your power play right here. Like, what on earth is happening here? I very nearly gave this worst match of the round, but I think there's one that was slightly worse than this besides the API issues. Oh my good lord, this was not good at all from Kev Shear. And for Stingray, I mean, obviously gets the sweep 4-0 result, but I wasn't fully impressed with this one. The defensive power play that win game 3 was pretty good, but besides that, I mean, I just didn't really see much here that would convince me that he's someone who can make this deep run again, which is what he needs. Especially with who he's got in this next round here, he's going to need to come up big, and I just haven't seen enough yet to where I'm convinced he can get the job done here.
Yeah, looking at the rankings, top 20 for Sting. Maybe some chaos ahead the next round. He could start to get back. It's going to come down to resume. Can Sting build the resume? And the guy's behind as well, so I think we'll have to watch Sting for sure. And unfortunately, another... Well, this is a tough one to talk about.
Another DQ.
This is a tough one.
How many are we up to? 3? Jesus, this is not good.
2, right?
No, we have 3 because you and Payne, and then Brando.
Oh yeah, Lane, right?
Yeah, we're already up to 3. This is not looking good. I mean, we said at the beginning of the show this was not the best round, and I mean we're starting to see some of its some of it rear its ugly head. But
this one, I'll take 25% blame. Now they were supposed to play Tuesday. I had broken the rule in the past, and I think you called me out on it, and I think multiple people did. Yeah, okay. Why are we doing 6 games in a day? I made a mistake first round. I let Caesar and Short do 6 games in a round. Okay, I wasn't there for the first round. I let it go. I had some community things to take care of. This one, I needed both to do me a solid so Alan could play after Alan and Seth had some issues with Seth's family or whatever. We wish them the best. And I moved the game back to Friday. And then what happened was we weren't going to stream the game. The Sanford game ran so long, and this is the thing we need to talk about. The window we started 7G. They didn't finish till 10 basically. I just couldn't stream it. I was deadbeat tired. And I ultimately look at this and say, part of it's my fault. We need to work on the hosting side of gotta be more clear on the windows, gotta be more clear on things with rescheduling. But at the same time, M's had a season full of just DQs, and I feel sorry because we both agree that she should have won against Monkey. That was not her. That was I still stand to this day. That was Monkey's fault. I don't care. That's unacceptable on his end. But if you take that one out, two out of the the other two were just. This was unfortunate. The drip one was her fault. I don't know. Yepes did not need this. I can afford DQG. Yepes is squarely on the bubble. To get a DQ when it's almost must win against Stingray and probably must win against whoever Zay Ashley, because you can't afford a DQ. You lose that tiebreaker against the people around you, except for I think Sanford, who also has a DQ win. So you equal with Sanford at least. But I don't know, man. He didn't need this, and he needed reps. I think Yepes might be on the hot seat next round. I don't think this is the best matchup for him, considering Stingray does play similar to him. He didn't need this. He did not need it. What do you think, G? Just on terms of Yepes' outlook here, he was the direct guy in the bubble, 16th.
I mean, if we're looking at this next matchup over here, I think Stingray Yepes is going to be a playoff game. I don't see how the loser makes it into Super League because both are below the cut line. But I mean, for this one, I mean, this is incredibly disappointing that something like this is happening this deep into the season. I don't think this should have happened at all. And I think it kind of still shows that there's still things we need to work on and tweak. I definitely think some of the stream package needs a bit of tweaking, because I think because part of the reason was the 6 matches thing, and then another part of the reason was that it felt like we needed to stream this game and we couldn't even get the game in because one of the streams ran very long and you can't do 2 streams at a time, and it's like it's a very frustrating and very disappointing situation. And then M just straight up didn't show up for the last one, so it's not something that we should be seeing. It's not something that we should be having, and I think this is going to have to be a conversation for the offseason to try to prevent something like this from happening in the future. But Yepes moves on, not what he needed, enters likely a playoff game in the next round. We'll see what happens there, but yeah, disappointing stuff here.
You got to wonder, too, with Yepes, where the mindset will be. And a lot of these DQ guys now are on the back foot. They have no reps on tournament mode. That includes Lane and myself, but at least the one thing I will say, Yepes does practice a lot. He does have that to go back on a little bit of a notebook. Well, Brad was the Jupiter Region Bi-Island recipient, and gee, this should have been a stream game. What a classic game this was. Peter Ard, the rematch, and I think the bigger storyline, G, is I know Peter won the game, right? How Ard handled that game, this has been a common theme with Ard. We know he's heat checker. We know he's going to deliver heat, but I've been impressed, man. He handled that with grace and should have won that game. And Peter had a game 7. He doesn't call power play, and Ard calls him out. He does everything right. And I think the only difference for Ard is he even said it, man. Wait till I get the card history, right? And the fact that he was able to go 7 without it, because that's how he's been practicing and whatnot, and handled it with class. I'm impressed, man. Heat checker, I think, could be someone to watch next season when he gets this full version of the buy. A lot of his losses were unfortunate. He lost to JT with 4+4s, Tago 8-man series. He missed T4. Who knows what he could have done then. I think Peter's in a good spot, though, to have a chance to make a deep run. I'll tell you why in a second, because he has the path in front of him. But for Ard, I'm impressed. Despite only a 4-win year and missing a tournament, I think there's something on the horizon for Ard, man. I think you mentioned in the control room, this is a stepping stone. What are your thoughts on this? Great match. Ard was, I think, one of 2 guys that lost their series when the player had less cards played. He played more cards than Peter, yet lost. That just shows you. Wait till he gets some of the extra tools. He could be someone to watch. What do you think?
I think the main thing with this is I think the way that Ard conducted himself afterwards. I think if this happened last season, this would be a way different story. But I said this before. I think this is more of a stepping stone season for Ard. I wouldn't say this was necessarily an amazing season because he did get 4 wins more than last year, but the resume was not very strong. So, I mean, his season's over here, but I mean, I think it's more off the table stuff that has improved. And again, I'd say this is a stepping stone. That doesn't mean that next season's going to be amazing, though. He's got to make sure he uses the stepping stone to his advantage and not fall flat on his face. So, this can be something that leads into something greater, but he's got to capitalize on it next season, and we'll see what happens with that. But we talk about first round Ard. believe that's the first time he's lost in the first round all season. So did come at the right time he wanted, but Onjak gets the win here. I thought this was the best game Onjak played all season, and that's interesting, especially since he beat KT last tournament. But I've been very critical on Onjak this year. I think he's just not had it. But this showed me a little bit of glimmer from what we saw last year, and I don't know, maybe we could see a possible deep run for this tournament. But again, I don't know if that's going to really happen. I would really bank more on the fact that Onjak just kind of gets some of his old self back to try and recapitalize for next season. But we'll see what happens with that. Onjak's going to play Brad. Could be a big chance to get a victory here, but if not, going to be back to the drawing board for Onjak for next year to try and figure out what went well in this matchup, especially to try and use that next year and not have as poor of a season as it has been this year so far.
We'll see how it is. Peter looking to become the only player in the league to be a #1 player in one tournament and do it again. And Brad, that'd be something to note. Could be something. G, unfortunately, you were right on this one. We both kind of said this was the inevitable is going to happen. I think we both said 4-0, 4-1, and oh boy.
I'm not even going to wait. This was
This
terrible.
was it, though?
Yeah, this was terrible. I'm sorry.
You didn't see Myth Brian?
Myth Brian was really bad too, but I think this one takes the cake because this is the same thing over and 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 over again. I feel like I watch every Sam England match, and I feel like I'm watching the exact same thing. Just stalls out the cards, goes long, has no way to the ending, and it's getting to the point where like I just cannot take it anymore. And we even go against Captain, who's someone who generally runs fast. Even then, we still have a 20-minute game. The problem with Sam England is his style just does not work. He went up against someone who you could do that style against in round 1 of March, and he has done absolutely nothing since then, and it's getting ridiculous, and this is also the reason why he's in this relegation tournament now, because he's fallen below the cut line. He's going to have to fight his way for D1, and I really don't like his chances, especially if he does not evolve his game plan. We have seen in the past where players who don't evolve their game plan are going to have the bottom fall out from under them if they're not able to adapt. We saw this with Ard last season, who he did not adapt and he went 2-5. We saw this with Fitzy both last year and this year. Kind of has a similar style, ran long, doesn't ever adapt, and he's now in a bad spot here. Might go down to D2. It's just a disaster. You just cannot keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect success. He had 1 win in March, and he has done absolutely nothing since then. I'm pretty sure his games record since March has been like 2-16. It's absolutely terrible. And I'm going on a complete tangent right now, but it's an important win for Captain. Gets a sweep, gets another victory. He's trying to get a bye into the top 6, but this is more about just me ranting about how running the same style is just never going to work, and there's just no adaptation, no evolution. It's the same thing over and over again. You're just not trying to get a finish. It's just nothing, and I don't understand how Sam England's expecting to do well if he just keeps running this long-term game. He needs to change his game plan because he's just setting himself up for failure at this point. 2-6. I'm pretty sure it's 2-16. I'm checking this right now because again, I feel like I need to make this point here. 4-1, 4-0. 4-2. Okay, no, he's 3-16 in the last. So I'm sorry, he had 1 additional win. My apologies, but it's been terrible. I mean, he needs something to change really quickly if he wants to stay in D1 next year. But yeah, I just went on a huge rant here. But this game would just made me like slam my head onto the desk so many times. I don't understand why this keeps happening over and over again. There needs to be adaptation. There needs to be change. Otherwise, you just can't expect to win. That's just how it is.
Look, I'm not going to go crazy rant like that. I think Sam's a great dude, but the way he plays...
Sam is a great guy. It's just his game plan absolutely drives me crazy.
I think that's how he's going to live and die by the sword, G. I will say I do agree if he does go down to D2, it's over. He can't afford to go down there. That style isn't going to work. I think for the problem for him, and that's the problem, G. We talk about this all the time. When your first matchup in the league is a guy similar in the way you play in Dark, you become too immune to that. And I think he never adapted his game plan because that's what he thought. And unfortunately, ironically, Tomic as well was his second career, and I think that's a problem. I think the problem is Chami plays very similar to England too, in a sense. Not so much the slow style, but England likes to split the ammo a lot, and then he also has the slow pace. And when you have those two things, when your first two matchups in the league are two guys that you think are playing similar style, you think, oh, I can just run that the whole year. It doesn't work like that. He did really well against Clay, though. I'll give him that. He should have won against Clay, but it hasn't been the same England, and you just wonder where's the drawing board to go, man. There's a way to fix it. I don't think playing super quick is the way to go either. I think he needs to work on really color efficiency. That's the thing I would think, because Cap also is a rare one-off player who likes to go low, and he did go low and whatnot. He works on the color efficiency. Maybe he can find something, but I'm not sure where Cap. I don't know. I'm just not sure where. I'm not sure where Cap that this match will really mean for him as well, because I think Cap is just so good in that low stuff. He's got something figured out that we haven't. He's a unicorn. We don't see many people just know how to do low stuff and figure it out like that. He's a hard guy to play. I think England ran to the gauntlet. I wish him the best wherever he goes, though. That's for sure. I wish him the best, because there's a lot to look forward to for England. He's got to improve it for sure. This one. Well, see, I'm gonna be honest with you. Game one, Larahua dominated, and Monkey just decided to run it. Larahua made too many ammo pump and dump mistakes and finished the job too early, and he got caught out. Monkey did a great job. He needed to bounce back. Now, is this going to give him a resume boosting win? No, but in terms of morale, if you want to talk of it that way, he needed that. Just need to get back on the schneid after a crack show against Lane. What do you think this means for Monkey? Larahua, a season that I think could have been missed opportunity. Should have beat Retro, in my opinion. Should have beat Ed. He just never had the opportunity to break out. He beat his fellow countryman in Grimm, but ever since then, it hasn't been the Larahua we thought and love and know in the sophomore class. What do you think?
Okay, so before I begin, if we're excluding DQ wins, really strange fact, obviously this could change, but Laura is the only person with exactly 3 wins this season. If we exclude DQ wins, which is kind of crazy, but because I mean, we look at the sheet here, we have a lot of people at 4, we have a lot of people at 4, we have a lot of people at 5, a lot of people at 2, a lot of people at 1, but Laura is the only person with 3 non-DQ wins. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but it was kind of I think the ending of the season was a bit of a downer for Laura. I mean, I think they started out pretty okay. But their peak was a run to the round of 16 in April. Since then, though, it just really hasn't been able to bring much to offer to the table, and just not exactly. Actually, no, wait, no, it was not April. It was May. My mistake. Apologies. May Masquerade. That was their round of 16 run. But since then, just not really doing much. Back-to-back round of 64 exits. And I mean, their other one came in March. So, yeah, not necessarily the best season per se. But I mean, if we look at last year, I believe they had like only one. Did they even have a win last year? I'm not even sure. Let me check. Yeah, no, they didn't have a win last year, although they were only in Tournament 5. So, I mean, by default, a better season, but I think there's a lot of things they could look at in the off season to improve on the table, and maybe we can see a better run from them in 2025.
Larahua, he came into the league last year, T5. He was just more of an experimental player. You find a little bit of style improvement for sure. Maybe find something in the not so much the pace. I think it really comes down to just proper ammo efficiency, which I mean by is you can't always leave it open on a skip or reverse or a +2. You got to find a little bit better way to close some of these runs off. You close some of these runs and just even go into a number and get to Uno, which we'll talk about in a second too in one of these matchups where it worked. It gives you a little bit of hope and a style adjustment that maybe people weren't expecting when you game plan for sure. So we'll see how it goes, though. I think Larahua could make a bounce back. Gee, I know you're going to have a passionate rant on this one, so I'll leave this one. Caesar Dark, it's all you, buddy. I know you've been critical of Dark Rain all year, similar to England, but you're calling this one. We'll start it off with you.
Okay, so go 5 minutes back and repeat everything I said except replace Sam England with Dark Rain and maybe add a few extra wins on there. I mean, this is the problem with Dark. This has been a disastrous season everywhere for Dark, on the table, off the table. A lot of internal stuff, a lot of stuff like internally and whatnot. It's been a disastrous season for Dark Rain. And this is just the cherry on top of it. It's lost to Caesar. Caesar again continues the streak of getting victories that are not significant. I
Oh,
don't know why he does that. And spoiler alert, that trend could very well continue into the next round, based on what happened in this next one. But I mean, this is the problem. This style of just running long with no idea of how to get to the end, like throughout the entire match. Obviously, there's points in the match where you're like, okay, I'm in a weird spot right now. I'm not quite sure where this is going to lead at the moment, but we're going to try to find something here. Like, obviously, that's going to happen sometimes, and that's fine, right? But to go like these 30, 40-minute matches where you're just running the cards down, throwing ammo, getting ammo thrown back and forth, there's just not even like a plan to get a finish. You're just kind of running it back and forth. You're running it into endurance until your opponent just straight up it gets tired and gives up. It just does not work anymore. This worked back in like 2020, 2021 when we did Victory Lane and whatnot. When
that
the
was
1v1 races,
2019,
2019
2018.
even. It's been that long. I mean, back then it worked because those players are just not experienced with it. This meta was not as fully developed per se, and I know people who are on the outside are like thinking, what is this guy talking about? A meta for an Uno game?" Some of it's a little BS, but like some of it's also like a very real thing. And but anyways, the problem is this style is just outdated. It just does not work anymore, and there there either needs to be a fresh coat of paint with how this style works, or you just need to ditch the style altogether. And I feel like the latter is going to be the better option here because I don't even know where they're beginning to make this style work in any capacity. We saw it in D2, for example. We saw someone who tried to run this similar style. Emmy ran it in tournament 3, got absolutely nothing for that. Decided to change their style a bit, went a little bit more towards mid style. Not necessarily where you're running it quick and trying to run it low, but did more of a moderate pace. Did use some of the stalling tactics in a way, but not in the way where you're just having no idea how to get to the end. And they made it all the way to the round of 8, and they had a really great run. Now they're going to be in the LCQ, looking to make it into the D2 Championship. When if they just decided to stay with this long-term run, this long-term game plan where it's just run long, don't really have a run to the end, they probably would have had their season over. So again, this style needs to go. These players need to change it up. It's never going to work. We have seen this for 2 years now, where this just does not work. I am just fully convinced this style will never work again unless it gets a complete rework in some sort of way. And we just gotta stop it. These chess games it doesn't work anymore. The hour 20 game. Another thing also, Dark Reign was part of the longest game ever, an hour 20-minute game. And another thing also, some people mentioned the hour 20 game, but not enough people mentioned that he lost that game. And he was up against Jesse Turner, who's not someone who necessarily runs long. So it's like most of these long games he doesn't even win. So like what's the idea here? These long games go wrong for the sake of going long, not for the sake of getting a victory, and that's the huge problem with the style. And it's never going to work. I am completely convinced this style is just never going to work. I think Dark and all these other players who do this need to find something in the off season to change their style. If you want to still play some sort of chess format, that's fine, but it just cannot be this. It needs to be a complete rework from the ground up. It doesn't work at all anymore. I'm repeating my words, but I'm just trying to just make sure my point is nailed down to the ground. And
Well,
Dark's going to be in D1 next year, but if he goes into the same game plan in 2025, I fully expect him to be in the relegation battle.
here's what I'll say about Dart. I think Dart still has him to make runs. We saw it last year. He's still that guy. I think he sure could use a little bit of evolution, but I almost wonder with the new bot. Right. Did he use this as a test session and say, okay, I'm going up against the best player here in terms of experience on a new bot that isn't named KT or commission member, or KT, excuse me, not commission. He's the second right-hand man of commission member. Caesar has used this bot countless times testing, other than myself. And was he just lost in the sense that, hey, you know what? It's Caesar, right? The fans were on his side, right? That's one thing. He's had a lot of interesting internal issues. Did he just not show up to the match because it was his own doing, or was it a case of style? It could be both, but I think Dark will evolve. He'll find a way, and I think he'll be back to normal. I still have faith in Dark that England maybe not so much because I could see where you're coming from on that. Dark, the one thing I will say is during the match, he did play a little quicker at certain points. So I wonder if he uses that as a benchmark to start building. But I think the bigger story here, G, is Caesar. Look, great guy, does a lot for the team, but it's the same story for the last 18 months, and he knows it. That's why he's got to win this tournament to make Super League. He's the only guy, other than Vapor maybe, that has to win because his resume is crap. I mean, how many times have we said Caesar, Caesar, T4, or Q4 win, Caesar, Q3 win, Q4 win? Too many times. There's not enough. I don't think he's even played a quad 1 game this year. He knows he's got to win the whole thing. At this rate, I don't think it matters who he gets anymore. He's going into the mindset, I have to win the whole thing. It's sad because I think he's won 6 games this year, but that just shows you, G, in any other league with 6 wins, right? Especially if this was an ELO system or some other different format, this guy would be a top 5 player in the league, maybe top 10. The problem is in this league, he has 6 wins and not even ranked in the top 30 on some boards. He was, I think, ranked in top 25 on some, but some people, I think someone had him at 31. Right. He's not even ranked in the top 30 on some boards. And that's why he has to go into this mindset, win the whole thing. What do I have to lose? Right. It sucks that we have to come to that point, but it just shows you in this league, if you want a cupcake schedule, and if you want cupcakes on your resume, you need to go out and win. And I don't mean win games, win the whole tournament, because that's the only way to make it. And we're going to see, a.k.a. Yoshi, what happened against Brad? He lost, and look where he's at right now. He's in resume hell. Right? And Caesar's the same way. He's in resume hell. And unfortunately, this next match, I really don't want to talk about, but we're going to have to. And look, I'm just going to not say this for legal reasons, but gosh, this is embarrassing. I'm sorry.
One more thing before we move on to this next matchup here. I just do want to say, I mean, we look at Dark this season, and he has what's it called? I'm pretty sure he has 2 wins, right? Yes, he has 2. He has 2 wins. I think so. It's a worse season compared to last year. But another thing I want to point out here is that in the 2 games he won, both of them were pretty close to under an hour. So he just needs to run quicker. It's not necessarily run quick as in like go 2 minutes, but go towards more to the moderate pace here. I mean, the 8-10 minute range is not bad. You just can't be running these games past like 15-20 minutes, and it's just that's going to be a problem. So I think Dark needs to look more at that moderate range if he wants to play more of the chess games. But if he doesn't make changes in the offseason, I'm concerned for next year. But let's go to the next. I wouldn't. It wasn't a match, but we'll talk about it here. KT, I'll give it back to you.
This is embarrassing. The rumors I'm hearing about this guy Eli, I legit hope they're. Listen, we're not going to say much. We know he had an incident in April with things we're not going to mention on air. If those rumors are true, and if they are found, that is deplorable. I'm sorry, G. That's a lifetime ban. That's all I'm going to say.
I agree.
I legit hope.
I 100% agree.
That is actually worse than what Mr. Smith did. Mr. Smith was corporate greed. I can live with that. I'm still good boys with him.
He's just TJ has only an indefinite ban. If this is true, this would be a lifetime ban. Like
this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable, and this is why I think Avion, Seth, and DJ are still having. One of them might have a chance, is because I can't put on good faith this guy is normal. The fact that he's safe and alive, but we can't reveal his location. What? That is, look, we know he took a trip to Vegas back in July. There was some concerns with that. I had concerns about that. We know there was that incident back in May, G, remember? That I found out that he wanted to do a Vegas strip theme for Cap. We found out about that. That was very red. Even Cap raised the red. What is this? I'm not sure where to go with this. This isn't right. I can't put on good faith Eli's going to even be in Super League, because let's say he doesn't come back for the next 2 months. Can we really put him in? No. This is unfortunate, man. And you think about Eli, he's the leader in the veteran class. This is what makes him more stupid. My prediction might come true. I said at the beginning of the year he would win the vet class over Clay, and they both would make Super League. It might come true because of self-infliction. This is the second worst self-infliction of the tournament, in my opinion. I have no words for A-Rod. Congratulations, that seals his D1 spot. But gosh, now Caesar's going to get another match in quad. He didn't need this. He had a chance to play Eli quad 1, and I hate to say it, Z, but if I'm Eli, even when I come back, I wouldn't play. So there's just too many questions. There's too much drama surrounding him. I'm not liking where he's at right. This is just it's unacceptable. This is a kid that I knew since 2018. I always thought great things of him. What happened to him? The fact that we're going this slow, and like I said, we're not going to repeat what he did on air, but this
Well,
isn't right.
it's rumors. It's not confirmed. I'm not gonna try to spread this thing like, oh,
No,
this is
no, no.
confirmed or whatnot. This is just rumors and whatnot. None of this is necessarily confirmed, but
It's
if it
not
is
right.
true, it is very concerning.
But I'll go to you, G. Your thoughts. Congrats to A. Where do you think A. Rodgers' ceiling could be? We have no idea. Now he had no idea because it's unlike Lane. We might have a chance for. We have no idea what A. Rodgers is going to do on this new. We have no idea. This is a matchup of an unknown coming in. But what do you think? What does this really mean for A. Rod? More than relegate, do you think he gets some momentum and seizes this because he had played Eli in the past, but it never happened? This is a hard one to read. What was your thoughts?
I'm just gonna start this off with this. On the DQ note we have on the sheet, I put it in also. Rogers escapes relegation by doing absolutely nothing challenge because let's be honest, that's really what happened here. But yeah, I mean this hasn't been a great season per se. I mean he had a great round one in April and then nothing the rest of the year. He put in one good shift and then left for town, and I really don't know what to say. Maybe he could pull something here, but based off how most of the season's gone, I am a little concerned. But I don't know. Maybe this new bot will help him out here. Maybe bring something we haven't seen before. But confirms his D1 spot in the next year by strange circumstances per se. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Rogers at this point. I think he's just kind of in a similar spot where he's playing with house money. Could be a threat, but it just depends on how he uses that. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think he'll use it in a way where it's trying to play mind games with the opponent. So, and also this is Caesar as well. Caesar when it comes to beating players who are below him and not quality wins is like the best player in the league. But the moment you play someone that could be a quality win, he completely folds. And that's a half joke, just so he doesn't kick my butt. But yeah.
Oh, that's it. Nah, look, at the end of the day, I really am. I am happy for A. Rodgers. I know we kind of make the joke of the, leaving the server and whatnot. You know what I'm getting at. I'm glad it, you know what I'm
Rogers.
saying. But yeah, but look, I'm glad he's back. He's a married man now, and who knows? He could give Caesar a hard time. You never know. You never know on this bot. Anything can happen. Because let's go to this next match. Look, gee, oh man, I'm still the biggest Cody Lamas fan in the server. Gee.
This was was a battle of checked out, and Lamas won the checked out battle.
I don't know, man. I still think Gold was checked in a little. I think a little bit, not a lot, but checked in a little more than we thought. Because it was a good game, man. Gold was up 1-0, and Cody just looked back to his old self, man. He did a really great job. I was impressed. I know I don't think he's got to win the whole tournament, but he's going to have to, because he's going to get some, if he does go to let's say the Elite Eight or Final Four, especially if he gets a ghost or he has a Brad or a captain on the other. I don't know if that needs to be a whole thing because he already has a KT win. Some more quad one wins will help. But he's going to have to think Final Four because at least he has that good Q1. You think for Cody, he needed something to just get back to normal. I think this new bot was a breath of fresh air, G. I think that's he got some Febreze and he sprayed it on him and he felt great. He's smelling like roses and sunshines. What do you think, G? Big win for Lamas? Any thoughts? And the outlook for Gold? Does Gold keep his legend spot? That's a big question in the offseason, for sure.
We'll see. I mean, in the argument for, I would say that Ard kept his legend spot at 2 wins last year despite a really bad year. Again, little different scenario this year, I guess, in a way. But I mean, I think it's kind of crazy how Gold was one play away from winning Super League, and now he ends the year with only 2 victories and well outside of the Super League field. It's very unfortunate to see I guess, the collapse this season. And I mean, it was just a straight up bad year. Could not find much momentum. Had a good run in Jungle July, but that's all he could really muster. Just not the year for Gold. He's probably going to have to go in the off season to try and figure out what went wrong and regroup for next year. That's really all he could do at this point. But yeah, unfortunate to see the collapse. kind of was at right at the mountaintop, slipped and fell all the way down the mountain, and you hate to see that. Thankfully, he didn't get relegated into D2, though. We didn't want to see that, but it's just a very unfortunate result because we remember at the beginning of the year we made our Super League predictions. You won 8 for 8. For the Super League people, I won 7 for 8. The only person I left out was Lamas, which I mean, hey, that prediction kind of coming true right now. But we have a lot of Super League people who have just not lived up to standards this year. I mean, gold season's done.
Well,
Onjack's
hold on,
still
G, real
fighting.
quick. Asterisk to that, real quick before you continue. We didn't know about Aria too, so that doesn't count. We never knew about that. But keep going, for sure.
Yeah, in a way, 7 for 7. I would have had 6 for 7 then. But yeah, I mean, excluding the Arya situation, I mean, gold season's done. Onjack's just been out of it the entire year. He's still in it. I've had a really bad year. And then I feel like I'm forgetting one more person. I mean,
Pez?
Yeah, Pez has not been great. He's on the bubble.
Sanford on the bubble.
Sanford's on the bubble also. The only one who has kind of survived was you, but even right now, like you have the March win, so you're fine. But even right now, back-to-back round of 32 exits, it's not been looking great as of lately. Definitely looking to correct that here, but it's been a very strange season for the Legends class. If it wasn't for the sophomores class, which has been consistently below average, the Legends class would really be the worst class this season. It's been really a struggle, and it's kind of crazy to see it all fall apart here, but we'll see what happens with that with the class restructuring. Fitzy was also a legend. Also, he wasn't in Super League, but Fitzy was in a legend also, and he's looking like potentially getting relegated. So, very, very bad season for the Legends class in general. We'll see what ends up happening with the class, the realignment there. I mean, you would obviously be there still. I think we'd have the tournament victors be there as well, but going to be a lot of questions with the remaining people and where everyone else lands. So, yeah, going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. But let's.
Cody ain't even a legend. He's a master.
Yeah, Cody's not even a legend. Cody's a master. But he was in the Super League field last year. He's still in. He still has a chance, but he's going to have to win against the next player here. But I just don't know what to say. It's been quite a rough season for the Super League guys. And, I mean, I predicted Lamas was not going to make the field at the beginning of the year. That may still come true, but I mean, I was not predicting this many Super League people to just fall flat on their face.
I think it was just a harsh reality, G, right? Other than my March win, yes, I have now looked the same, but it is a new platform. Maybe a new platform gives us a chance. I think that's the only hope we could say. Maybe we needed this as a breath of fresh air, collectively, because look, I'm always a sucker for veterans in this league, right? True legends and masters. The other classes are, right? We know they're not rookies. They're rookie, and Seth said it best, right? They're rookies by label, not by heart. So we'll see how it goes. This next one, yeah, I called a shot here, G. I was wrong, but I said Eric Monaco will look competitive. He really did. He really did look. He lost 4-1 and made some simple, stupid bozo mistakes on Uno calls, but a lot of people were impressed with there. He looked really good, and he made Ghost play defensive half the time and should have probably taken this to 7. There was something there to that prediction, but unfortunately, he just couldn't close it out. And the problem is, when you've never been in that situation all year where you're closing out games, you just don't have the experience. And I think for Eric, he's going to have to learn and go back to the drawing board. But Ghost needed it, especially with Abion, the DJ set trio losing behind Yepes DQ. I think this really bailed out Ghost, G. The fact that those three and Yepes getting a DQ and Sanford already having a DQ win, it bailed him out huge. I think this is what Ghost needed. I think he's in a good spot. 8-win season for him. I think he just needs one more win, especially against Cody. He'd be really safe, but we'll see. This is an interesting matchup, Cody Ghost. But for Eric, he's in the relegation battle. I'm not going to count him out. He did find something in that package. He did find something in that package that I wonder if maybe the organized cards was one of his biggest benefactors. What do you think? This is an interesting matchup for sure.
I mean, this was the best match Eric Monaco's played all year, so I guess in a way...
Showed up, too.
Yeah, way to go out fighting, but going to be in the relegation tournament. We'll see what happens with that, but good result from Ghost here. Gets the victory that he needed, and with everything else that's happening around him, might be good to lock himself up there, especially if he gets to win against Lamas. Would put himself in a pretty safe spot, but Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I don't really got much to say on this one. Just I'll be curious to see what Eric Monaco does in the relegation tournament, and who knows, maybe he can pull a shocker to keep his D1 spot. But we'll have to wait and see.
We'll see how it goes, G, and we'll move on to. Oh boy.
This
Well,
matchup that didn't happen. We are up to 5 DQs. Oh my God, this is not good.
well, see, this one, I said Eli was this is the worst self-inflicted one. This guy had never missed a tournament. Clint Green, Smoky Clint Green, Hollywoods. I don't know what he was ripping, man, but this is the first player in league history, G, to go on probation. This is awful. I mean,
I feel like there should have been other players who went on probation, but continue.
He basically just must have been smoking a couple magic mushrooms in the woods. He took a camping trip, decided to, give an old little eagle bird, you know what I'm saying? If you catch my drift, to the old boss, and leave the server, pull a little AB Green, and what the hell, Clint? I mean, what were you thinking, man? Because crazy. And then Nam, on the other hand, man, he's like, man, I'm lonely about it, man. I'm very lonely, man. I wanted to play. Even if this match happened.
I'm sorry. This didn't even happen, but I think with everything that happened, it deserves this.
This is just. Gee, I'm sorry. This is a lesson in responsibility. What the hell is Clint doing? Stay off the drugs. Stay off the drugs. This is ridiculous. Clint is a great guy. Look, when he's sober, but the problem is those moments are few and far between. I wish you the best when he goes down there in D2.
You have no faith if he does the relegation tournament. That's insane.
Yeah, I don't have. Well, now I have no faith because I don't even know if he can get back in the server, man.
This has been the craziest episode we've ever done. Oh my God.
Yeah, no comment. You know who's the biggest loser of this, G? Nam. Because now, guess what? He doesn't even get his 100th game. He was supposed to get it here, where he was probably going to win. Now we have no idea if he's going to win. This is not what Nam needed, G. He wanted to pretty much solidify a bye island spot, at least a singular. He needed a regular win. I can't say on good faith. This is what his quad 4 resume is ridiculously good. And the problem is everything else is mediocre.
The problem is it's a quad 4 and not quad anything else.
Yeah, I'm a big Nam fan here, man. But man, he didn't need this. He needed Clint for a warm. Now he's going to go into this new bot, and we've seen with new platforms. So we saw in the Final Four, new adventure. It didn't work. We saw it against Logan, his first non-stream game in a minute. Didn't work. When he played Brian with professional issues, then he collapsed against Ed. Didn't work. Great job in T4, gave him the path, but then he was up 5-3, new situation. And what happened? He blew it. I mean, not his own doing. Shapiro's just an animal, but I don't know, man. I'm not sure if he's going to like this next match. But any thoughts on Clint? I mean, what the hell?
Okay, boss. That's all I gotta say.
Let's move on. Jay, this is one of the best. This is the Ed Ziemba game, and what a debut for Brock on this new bot. He had Nick on the ropes. You've been really very critical of Brock all year.
I have been very, yeah.
He looked great, phenomenal. Pulls off a yellow one. Nick made a questionable +12. I get where he was coming from with it, just trying to get the ammo split and see if he can force Brock into an uncomfortable juxtaposition. But man, I'm impressed with Brock. And G, I think the ceiling is high for Brock, especially on certain card starts, especially 7 through 9. He can really cook. I think Brock could be someone to watch moving forward. What do you think, G? Great performance. Probably one of the best performances and a turnaround from adapting from no ammo control to really good ammo control in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, I've been very critical on Brock this year. I was expecting a lot more from him this season, and he's just really not delivered. But on the same note, also, I remember specifically in the last episode, I picked him as the potential late season last second push to steal a bid potentially, and this is a good start so far. So yeah, I know that Brock is capable of much more than he's shown this season, and I've been disappointed because he's just straight up not shown that. But if he could carry the same momentum into these next rounds, my prediction of a potential deep run that we saw similar to Clay last season, except maybe this time gets the tournament victory, could very well come true. So again, we've seen this every tournament where there's one person that kind of just makes a run to the final four at least out of nowhere. I mean, I think the argument for March here would have been you could make a few arguments here. Ashley, I guess, but also maybe not. Turner and Nam, I would say the more bigger examples here. You look at April, I would say definitely Tapir was the bigger shock there. May was a probably just about everyone in this list. Toaster guy, I'll probably give it to on that one since he was a 14 seed and was winless up to
Right.
that point. And then tournament four, Lane Sanders. So I feel like there's always going to be one person in the Final Four that you're like, they made the Final Four, and especially with how the season's gone, I feel like Brock could be that late season push to get that sneaky bid and possibly win the tournament. So if he can play similar to how he did in this first round, I could see that happening. He's going to have to go up against Nam here. I think both have a lot on the line in this matchup. Obviously, season on the line for what's it called, Brock, Nam. Who knows what could happen if he loses this, but yeah, gonna be an interesting game to watch out for. I will be tuning in for this one and curious to see how it'll play out.
We'll move on to the next match here, G. Another weird one. This one, a bot issue. This one was a server maintenance issue, and we always got to make sure we clear out that that's nothing we can control. That is something that is QC control, which means the server needs to be QC'd. And when you have QC control, that means you need to have maintenance to make sure the uptime is good. And I think this is the right thing to do. I don't think that should be understated. That needs to be the right thing to do. And congratulations to Yoshi though on the resumption. I think H was thrown off. He was thrown off by the resumption, man. He wasn't there game one, and then just try low start. I don't think his heart was into it. And Yoshi just capitalized on that. And considering Yoshi's resume, where everybody on his resume pretty much tanked in round one or did not perform like expected, he's going to have to think this is a loss, a net loss. You had Monkey win, you had Sanford win outright, you had Yepes, right? Even with a DQ win, still technically win. He's got to think as well with his resume, it's got to be at least Elite Eight minimum, if not Final Four, to get at least a head start. And you wonder for him, was it that Masquerade May finale? What if he would have won? And that's the biggest thing he's got to get away. I think he'll do a good job in this next match coming in, but Nick H just wasn't into it. And this season, he'll survive D1, but it's going to have to be a turnaround next year for sure. What do you think, G, on H, his expectations, and your thoughts on Yoshi?
There was a few questions of whether H is going to come back next year. Again, I know he left the server temporarily, but then came back. Maybe come back next year. We'll see. But I think a lot of people were hoping for a little bit more from H, but unfortunately, I think he's just one of those people who kind of ran a bad draw for a lot of the season. And couldn't really get anything going. Did get a victory though. I believe he should be safe into D1 next year if he does come back, but not the season he was looking for. I understand the frustration. Definitely was screwed at times. I remember March was an absolute disaster class. Absolutely hosed on the bot, and then here I would actually make an argument could have been a potential hosing. There were some mistakes here and there, but it's interesting because you don't really see these. We're not going to see the 80-20 hosings anymore, but we still saw a bit of that 65-35 split, which unfortunately, when it kind of gets that way, even when it can sneak into the 70-30, it really could get ugly. So unfortunately, we did see that, which is kind of a real rarity on this bot. And just unlucky in general. Yoshi gets a good win that he needs, but I think he's going to need more if he wants to get into the Super League.
Yep, same thing with this next matchup as well. Gee, I mentioned Vapor and Caesar, same boat. Look, Vapor got the 4-0 at Acosta. Acosta survives. Now, Acosta, we talk about his style as a similar England and Dark. I don't think so. I think Acosta plays a little quicker, and he almost beat round one art playing that style.
He
supposedly.
I would say he plays a better refined style of it. The problem is I think some of his issues as a player kind of like restrict him a bit. I'm not going to go on another rant here again because again this is kind of the same category of styles. I personally think he needs something different, but this is one of the less egregious versions of it.
Yeah, I think Acosta he'll develop here. He'll start to move forward. For Vapor, you got to get the win. I mean, there's not much to say with Vapor G. His resume speaks for himself. He has to get the win. I think him and Yoshi, he knows it's a true playoff game. His only chance of making the Super League is a tournament win, or at least a finale, because he does have but the problem here, G, and here's the problem, right? and I'm going to talk about this in the preview. This pod is this whole region is bad. There's not many quality wins here, because here's the problem. Because you look at Nam, he's kind of on a shaky ground. Brock's not the best win yet. JT is JT. He's pretty much going to be safe. He's going to take it off. And Sanford, he's the master of, I'm good enough. I don't care about a double bye. He's just going to get in when he can get in if he beats Myth. And JT, he's not going to. There's not enough quality wins in this region, so I think all these guys are going to have to think. It all depends on what Nam can do, and that's the scary precedent. What will he do? It's probably the region you don't want to be in for sure. But we'll see how it goes for
I
Vapor.
feel like this fourth region has always been the region you don't want to be in for most of the season. I don't know why.
Yeah.
March, it was very cursed with absurdly difficult pods. April, there was a lot of chaos, a lot of upsets. And then May and July, it's just a bunch of random nonsense that would happen. And then here, it's just there's no quality wins available. So it feels like this fourth region, everyone who's in it is just cursed. So, yeah, we'll see if this carries over next year. But this Neptune region, great in name, just a terrible place to be.
Yeah, Blue Planet not working out, and it's unfortunately that let's speed that we are running along here. Dang, didn't I realize the time?
We're at an hour about to hit an hour 26 in the show right now. So
Yeah, we're looking at 2.5 hours here. We got a long way to go. This next one, this DQ had nothing to do with nobody. I first want to thank Grim for everything he did to get this bot back on track. Shout out to Grim. I know we don't have I'll give him applause there. I don't have an applause button, but if you got anything, thank you, Grim, man. Because without you, we would not even have this tournament even existing with this bot. Thank you so much. For Drip, I just feel bad, G. He's doing incredible things in life. I think this, out of all the DQ, this is just unfortunate. He really was the unsung hero. Couldn't play, tried his best. He's building a restaurant, and he's living his dream, man. I can't even hate on that. If you do, I know he wanted to be here. I think a lot of people are going to respect the fact that Drip is a well-liked guy. Sure, he doesn't make Super League this year, but assuming he gets his life back in order and the restaurant's going great in T1 2025, he'll be good. I don't really have much to say about Grim. I think it's good that he was already safe and he gets a win here. Probably deserved it anyway after all the things he did for us. Any thoughts on this? Pretty simple one to close out there.
It's unfortunate. Not the way Drip wanted to end the season, but if I'm going to be honest, based off the expectations we have, I would actually say this season was a slight disappointment for Drip, all things considered. We talked about the possibility of that big run that a lot of people were expecting from Drip at some point in the season, and it just simply never happened. Didn't play bad, all things considered, but just never reached the potential a lot of people thought he had. Going to be looking to have a better year next year, but I think as a rookie, obviously expectations get put all over the place depending on where you are. I think Drip was on the higher side of the expectations. Unfortunately, I don't think he quite reached them this year, but we'll see what he does next year. I do have faith he can be a contender in the pack, but just got to make sure he's trying to find something so we can get that deep run.
We'll see how Drip does next year. Let's move on to the next match. This was another classic JT, Foot Massage City. Man, JT on any bot seems to really get carded like G. Unreal.
More implications also with the relegation battle on this one, but I probably should. Yeah.
No, I thought you were going to say more implications with KT being a crackhead again, but all good. Now, I appreciate that. Nah, JT, honest to God, all joking. Congrats to JT, man. Now a married man. Well, when this probably comes out, probably will be. He's probably currently in his wedding, but congratulations to JT. That was his last game as a bachelor, and he did a great job. And I'm proud of him, man. I knew JT since how was he? 23 years old when he was 23, and I was 19. So he's almost 30. He's doing great things in life, and a great season for Jay, man. Last year he was Mr. 10th, 11th place all year. That's all he was, 10th, 11th all year, and unfortunately, last year wasn't enough due to the 10 people, but with this year, he's really safe. I think JT did a good job. And your thoughts, G, on that's unfortunate because Zach is a great friend of the program, but just not the season he's wanted for sure.
Yeah, I think I interrupted you slightly when you were going to say the score. I apologize for that. I should have waited a bit, but Turner won at 4-1 here. Implications with the relegation battle here. Zach was coming in, I believe, below the cut line here. Needed a big performance and just simply did not get it. So Zach unfortunately does not jump above the cut line. He stays right below it and will have to fight for his spot in D1 for next year. But I mean, we look at Zach's career overall, and I mean, He started out as the 4 seed as a rookie, I believe, in March of last year, if I'm not mistaken. You seeded the field and you put him up there. You were impressed with his rookie testing, put him there, and he's just not really done much since then.
Him and Fitzwater. Yep. Him and
Yeah.
Fitzy. Yep.
2-5 in 2-5 in 2023. Got his 2 wins at the last 2 tournaments of the year, and then this year doesn't start strong in March. I believe he got his victory in April. Yes, he did.
Against Bo.
Got it against Bo, barely won that one, and then has just not done much since then. And it's crazy because he's in this relegation battle. This has actually been a worse year on the numbers because he only has 1 win. And it's just not really sure what's going on with Zach here. He makes a lot of great graphics for the league and whatnot. It's a great part of the team, but in terms of on the table, it's just there's not really been anything there. And you could argue that maybe he didn't really have a chance to fight here with the Turner card luck there, but still, that doesn't remove from the fact that the numbers have just not been great this year. Even some of the players who have had really bad years, like Gold and myself, were at least able to find ways to extend these games and at least get like 2 series wins here and whatnot. Zach has just been nothing, and now he's going to have to fight for his spot in D1. So, not a great spot for Zach to be in. We'll see if he can get the victory in the relegation tournament. Maybe that's how he gets his quote-unquote second win of the season, although that's not really going to count in terms of the records. But, yeah, just not been a great year for Zach. Needs to find something different here because first 2 years have kind of been a bust so far. 3-10 overall, so not really great.
Yeah, I think Zach's going to have to go on the drawing board in terms of trying to find something deep in that relegation tournament. He's one of the great friends of the program. We do wish him the best wherever he goes, and no matter what, he'll still always be a G on the league logos. He doesn't miss there. Let's go to this next match. G was, and I'm just going to take a 20 seconds and say, what the hell was Brian doing?
Yeah, here you go. Here's your rant.
Oh man, Brian, what? Man, I tried 7,000 times to get a program day with him just to test. He didn't even test the bot. He didn't even know what the bot was capable of. G. No, I don't know. Brian, come on, man. We gotta go art fake texting crap again. No, it just not it. This isn't it. It's not it. And I'm gonna be honest with you. All he did was play 7 cards. He only did Plan A.
Do you want me to do a buzzer for you?
Yeah, please go.
There you go.
Craziest episode of all time.
We had 4 of those.
What the hell is going on tonight?
This is the thing. This round was not very good. So many issues, so many DQs and whatnot. And then just there were some good games, but then there were some really, really bad games that like you just have no idea what's happening.
What are we doing? I mean, there is no consistency. Congrats to Myth, but my thoughts on Myth. Plan A. It appears that we have no read on him. He's going to get his real test next round, and I'm going to be honest with you, man. For a lot of that time, it wasn't going to be his next test next round because let's go right to the last game. I have nothing to say, unless you have anything to add about Myth, Brian.
I have nothing to add besides the fact that Myth went back to Plan A, said it did not work in July. Maybe it'll work in September, but we'll go to this last one, which I'm glad we're ending on this one because I thought this was a really good match.
Unbelievable, G. I thought this would be a sweep for. I thought Charles Sanford, he finally did get his 100th, and now he's a 103-time only guy in the league to have 100 plus wins in the entire league in the regulars. Incredible. I think he's been here for 9 tournaments now, 8 tournaments. He's basically averaging, 13 wins a tournament? That's insane numbers. I think they'll go down a little bit after. It's something like that. It's just it's insane to think that he's been here so long, 9 tournaments deep, and his first loss was to Dark, and he learned 100. I think he lost 3 too. 101 wins later, now here he is after that Dark loss. Incredible. I think Leah really showed me something though, and I've never seen Sanford like this. I think Sanford. G, between you and me, he needs that card history. I really think once he gets that card history, he's going to be the man. Right now, he's kind of a wounded duck, and until he gets that, I think he needs to figure that out. Leah, it's unfortunate we're even talking about her in relegation spot, but
she's the
unfortunately
because of Brando and Clint DQing, she's technically the only person who went 0-5 this season, which is unfortunate.
Yeah,
I don't think she's played terrible in some of the matches.
No, and didn't have a lot of good matches, but really couldn't showcase her talent. Avian, she played okay. That was a Yepes. Yepes was another matchup. Someone else, obviously Sanford here. Just a lot of hard opponents. You ran to the gauntlet. We talked about Allen running into hard gauntlets. Lee ran into some hard gauntlets too, and I do hope she can get out of the relegation tournament, stay in D1. But after that performance, but I don't have much hope because at the end of the day, it's going to come down to what happens with Allen right now, and I like to think Allen wins that game, but you never know. For Sanford, I think he got what he wanted. It's one of those cases of, you know what, maybe the opponent was taken too lightly. He skirted by, he survived. He got a little breath of fresh air, a little water in his face and say, hey, wake up. I think he wakes up next round and starts putting on the beast, but I'll say that for the next round. What was your thoughts on this match overall? Probably the best match, maybe the best match of the round. I don't know. There was two of them for sure. This one was one. I thought Nick and Brock was really good too.
I mean, I think this was Leah's best showing of the year. In my opinion, her only bad match was in tournament 3 against Vapor. I thought she really did not bring the energy
Yeah,
that she's had before. Yeah. But it's obviously a bit frustrating because I think for Leah, she was put in a spot where it was going to be difficult for her to succeed at the start because she started as the bottom overall seed, had to play Yepes at the start, and then it's kind of difficult to climb yourself out of the way from there, especially if you don't get that signature winner, if you have a slip up like with the Vapor. So for Leah, it was a difficult spot. I'm wondering if maybe she should have been put in D2, and I think maybe she could have had more success there from the get-go, but again, we'll see what happens. She put up a really great fight here against Sanford. Really ran the ropes against him. I think there were a lot of people who were thinking Sanford might legitimately have lost this match because there were points where it really was looking like it, but fortunately it does not end up being the case. Leah goes to the relegation tournament, but with some potential momentum here. Gonna have to wait to see who her opponent's gonna be. There's a very real possibility, based with these DQs and people dipping and whatnot, that this first round of the relegation tournament might just straight up not even happen. Because we already have two people who are donezo with Cologne and Bolton. Then we have a big question mark around Fitzwater and Clint. So if both those guys decide to just dip straight out and just get auto relegated, that first round just straight up doesn't even happen. So that'll be kind of crazy to see how that plays out. But again, Leah, only person who goes 0-5 on the season, which obviously is unfortunate, but I do commend her for sticking through with it, and she'll be fighting for a spot in D1. No matter who it will be, it will likely be either Allen or Sam England, depending on what happens in this Allen game. But speaking of the relegation tournament, I think this is a great transition here to talk about that. What do you say, KT?
Let's do it, big man. Yeah, let's go to that relegation topic too here, and
I know we do have the D2 chip as topic 2. We could do a little switch around here because I think this will be a better lead in. But
okay, we'll go relegation Super League. Yeah, we'll switch it up, no problem. I'll make an add to that. Let's go to relegation. We'll start with that. Let's see who really won. Obviously, the biggest winner probably, no doubt, Logan. He was below the cut line. Really had a tough opponent for sure, and I think to beat DJ Curtis, where everyone thought you would lose, that's a statement. Allen too, right? To beat Seth Cole, a guy that was a top 15 player, big statement. Sure, he's got some more work to do. Big winners. I would say kind of winners, but not really winners. More just meh winners.
Just
A. Rogers.
People who escaped from just circumstance, pretty much.
Yeah, A. Rogers, circumstance. MGR was already good. And I think A. Rogers was the biggest one, and I think H kind of got away with one with the Surrey with 12 wins. Acosta, I believe, got away with one as well. Even though he got swept, it just circumstances played out. And your biggest losers for sure, Zach, England, Ellison, potentially, I'm not going to say potentially, but probably will be Aiden Smith. Even if he does survive this G, just to lose like that, where you get all the call-outs, it's a tough one to swallow into next year. He's going to have to think about just getting away from the Gilly. There was a running joke every time a starting car would come up. Of course, it would just be Aiden Smith's starting car. We were making fun of the guy. I mean, he needs to get away from the server a little bit, maybe enjoy a little bit of life. Obviously, Clint was.
Oh wait, hang on a second. Give me a second. I need to fix something. My headphones just went out. So 1 second.
What was that?
You can keep talking now. I have a slight fix on this. I'm gonna fix this, but you can keep talking now.
Yeah, you get numbers. I think you look at this tournament, the relegation tournament, and just the relegation battle. Like I said, there's only one more thing we have coming soon, but then I think after that we can start firing that up or maybe having it around the Elite 8 window. I know we got a lot to discuss with D2 and whatnot. They're getting ready to go, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, G, there's winners and losers, and then there's just a case of, you know what? Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I think Austin Riders was better lucky than good, and some of these guys were lucky than good, and kind of just replace it with that and go from there. And congratulations, congratulations to the guys that survived. Obviously, yourself and Grim were already safe theoretically, but it's always nice to get out of that and just avoid that bubble battle and of relegation. And when you win too, it's a stressor, man. It's a stress relief, and I think you guys need that too, just to build some momentum. What do you think, G? There's not much room to say here. It is what it is, right? For a lot of these guys, I think Ellison's probably the biggest one. He'll take a look back and say, "I had that one. Really regret it." What do you think?
I think it's interesting because we look at the end of the year technically, 56 people who do get a win here.
That's crazy.
I know there was some people who are arguing the bottom eight just straight up be relegated, but you never really know. Sometimes I think you have to have a little bit of leeway with that. And I think we did see that some of that in a way. Allen, I think, was in really big risk here if he had the bottom eight here. He's 56 right now, so technically he would be above, but again, this next round is going to be huge. It's pretty much Allen versus Aiden Smith here in this last spot for the relegation tournament. Allen has to win this next matchup to avoid it, otherwise he will be here. And I mean, while we're at it here, I mean, we could take a look at some of these potential matchups. Again, Clint and Fitzy are gigantic question marks here, so that could very much be round one gets skipped altogether. But again, top two right now would technically get buys, but Leah Cologne and then Clint Bolton. Again, that Clint game's questionable. If he does end up not showing up, we're not going to have it where that's just going to be a double DQ, because then that's just not fair to everyone else. He'll just get bumped down all the way to like 61st, 62nd, that sort of area. That's just the most fair scenario, because you don't want someone who just magically escapes with double DQs. Unless it's like where we have 5, and in that case, just the top seed escapes. So in that case, Ellison right now could be Aiden Smith if Allen wins. But yeah, I mean, looking at some of these matchups, England's Allen Leah is the one I'm really looking at right now here, because I feel like Leah needs Allen to win, because I think that's going to be an unfortunate matchup if that does happen. I think both have a case to possibly stay in D1, but we'll see what happens with that. But it's interesting. We'll probably have a better analysis here after this next round, where we'll have the field officially set. But I mean, any other thoughts with how this has gone so far? I mean, Monaco, I think Monaco passing Fitzy and Faust here in this round here, and I'm saying here a lot. I'm so sorry, but any thoughts on how this gone? I mean, especially the season of Fitzy. I mean, I probably wouldn't have had on my bingo card Eric Monaco technically finishing above Fitzy in terms of the regular season.
Fitzy will be a documentary of some sorts. Maybe Fitzy's Zach, some other guys. We'll talk about it in the off-season special. Well, what happens to these guys? And I do wish Fitz the best, man. He deserves every ounce of glory. Yeah, it's hard to talk about GM for me. And he's one of my good friends. Look, at the end of the day, though, going back to the professional side, you just wonder if some of these guys got bit by the evolution of the league, got bit by, I don't know, maybe they just took it too easy. It's really hard to know. I think this is a great lesson, and a great lesson that we all should know in life. It's never take anything too lightly or for granted, right? A lot of these guys that got kicked to the curb, I think, took things for granted. I'm not going to say that rookies are different. Leah, we had no idea. Brando, we had no idea. We had no idea how England was going to perform, as well as, to an extent, Allen, because of, I guess, similar issues with Aria, right? Maybe even slightly worse, which is crazy. But I don't know. It's interesting to where I almost wonder, G, if because you think about right now, if you look at this, one wins the threshold. I wonder if in future seasons, though, if we do think, and we are putting investment in those D2 guys being real, you say they're very good. I believe you. Summer might be a little questionable, right, on scheduling. There's no denying that. But I think we can handle that in a sense to get those guys amped up and ready to go. I almost wonder if we're getting close. Maybe not next year even, but 2026, as long as the league it'll still be here. If we're just going to have no more free wins, right? Because that's the big thing I look for. If we just have a league where anybody can be anyone and there's no more free wins, that's we've done something special, right? And I think that's where we want to get to eventually. And if we get there, G, I think we would have accomplished the mission. We'll try out this relegation. It's new. We have no idea. I know some have. I think Eli was the biggest proponent of just get rid of it. I was not for or against it. I was willing to try out whatever. So we'll just try it out, see how it goes, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then we have something to work. But we'll see. That's my biggest takeaways from it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way with some of the people who left this season, it's definitely not going to look the way it was initially envisioned for this year. But I mean, especially next year when hopefully we have all 64 people stick around, not decide to leave midseason or leave after the first tournament. Hopefully it'll be all good and whatnot. But yeah, a bit of a different format, but a bit of a different vision of what's going to happen. But I think this is the fairest way to do it since obviously, as much as we like saying, it takes a lot of skill, there's always going to be elements of luck with it, and not like not like minor elements where like you talk about with football and whatnot. There is going to be significant portions of luck that you see on the table in the league, and sometimes people just get outright screwed. So this just gives them one more chance to go against people who are in the same bracket as they are to maybe prove themselves that they're better than the rest in a way. So we'll see what happens, but I think this will be interesting to watch out for. Again, none of these games are going to be streamed. If you'd like to check them out,
Right.
Make sure you join the MRE Uno Discord server, which we have a guild now, actually. We have our own guild tag. Maybe have a little bit of conversation about that, KT. That's pretty exciting news. New feature on Discord.
Yeah. Let's talk about. We'll do a quick 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah. So what happened was one night we were actually funny. It was Leah Sanford. We were streaming one night and I saw Zay and Brad and now what's this lightning little thing on the bottom? Right? I'm like, what is that? Right. And I get off the stream and to Gil, I'm like, whoa, this is cool. And what it is basically is it's basically a private thing. It's more of a privatized thing where I use it as it's more advertising because you get people. What's that, right? It's new, it's fresh. I guess Discord added something cool where you can make or you can't make. They gave you a guild tag where you can make a customizable guild where you can ask application questions. I think you can customize that lightning logo too. And you can customize a three letter what is it, acronym. We just keep it MRE. The lightning looks really cool, by the way. But yeah, I was impressed, man. I can't believe they get. Maybe they were just felt sorry for us after the API and decided to give a free bone. Right now, all joking aside, it was great to get it. We had worked hard, and this server, you think about all the VC hours we put in, the hard work we put into this, and we only dedicate one sport, Uno, and get one game to the server. Really, there are some other things that go on in the server, but Uno's the main gig, and yeah, I was just happy, man. We come a long way. This server's almost 3 years old now, or 2.5 years old, I think, something like that. 2022 April. So yeah, 2.5 years old, and I'm proud of everyone, man. I really am, and I'm glad Discord recognized that. I know D2 doesn't have one yet, but maybe one day if you guys start building it up and use the V. I think next year it could very well.
To be honest, I don't know if we necessarily need it per se, because I mean the guild could be more just an league thing in general. So we'll see what happens with that, but I don't think it's a necessity.
No, it ain't. But it's good to have, man. I'm proud of everyone on the team. I'll say something tonight in the commission meeting, but I want to thank everybody, man. This is a team effort. This isn't just a KT thing, right? There's a time to say KT did it, but this is a team effort, right? I can't thank you guys enough for putting in the work. We put I think I said in the lounge once that we put about 1,000 hours to this server a year, maybe 2,000 if we combine D2 as well. There's a lot of hours that get put into this league, and I don't think people realize that there's a lot that goes into. There's streams, there's graphics, there's logos, there's pressers, there's Super League reveals, there's press conferences, there's fan mail, there's games that happen non-stream. We have scheduling, we've got player individual things we do, league nights. There's a lot that goes into this league. It's not just I show up and you're. I know we all can't be there at the same time, right? We're all doing different things, but when you do have a chance to get recognized like that, be appreciated for your hard work, I think it's a good thing for the league. I think it makes the league in a brighter place. What are your opening thoughts and any closing thoughts on that, Jay? I think I kind of summed it up best for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we look at this guild thing, it's definitely a new feature with Discord and whatnot. I think it's great because it's literally just a walking advertisement itself.
Right.
I was playing a Mario Party-esque game. It's called Pummel Party with some of my friends the other day, and I joined the call, and everyone was asking what this MRE tag was, and I told them all about it. And best way I could describe it was a G-Man lore dump. So that's
Oh man.
definitely a lot of things that people get to know about. So it's a walking advertisement for people who want to see it, get some more people to join the league that may be interested in Uno, may be interested in a bit of a competitive atmosphere. Obviously, competitive Uno is not for everyone, but even just if they want to spectate, again, a walking advertisement. And I feel like I'm repeating my words so much today. I apologize. But
We've been on for a
it's
while. It's been a while. We've been on
yeah,
this for a while.
we're at like an hour 50 here, but it's really good for the league in my opinion because people are going to be curious. New feature. Not a lot of servers really have this. I did see it around before a little bit, but not really something that is, I guess, commonplace right now. So overall, I think it's a really great addition for the league. It'll be great for getting new people in that may be interested in seeing one of the players who have an MRE tag. We already have a lot of players who have actually added the MRE tag to their
Yes.
profiles. So a lot of great advertisement going on there. We've already seen a few people who are curious about the tag and have joined the server. So I'm very excited to see what this does for the league and the evolution of both the feature and what it does for the league in general. So I know you said there might be something called a clan also, which is like an evolution of the guild.
Yes.
We'll see if maybe we get something like that at some point. But for now, having the guild tag, really, really good stuff. And hopefully we'll get some more people coming in out of curiosity from what the heck the MRE lightning tag is on the side of the profile. So
I think for a clan, I think someone said you need 10,000 hours of VC time. We're projected to get that maybe in a couple of years, but well, that's a couple of years away. We also probably need more
well,
people.
I mean,
It is, I
we had 2,000. 2,000 is the minimum for guilds, right? I mean,
believe
I wouldn't
so.
be
Yeah.
surprised if we get it at some point next year because we always have VCs for the streams and whatnot. We run a lot of streams, so and then you also have the meeting community nights and the Super League reveals and whatnot. So there's a lot of times where people are jumping into VC. So I feel like within at some point next year, if that is the requirement, we could get clan. So very interesting to
We'll
see
see,
how
man.
that go. We'll have to keep an eye out for it.
And one last thing, G, it just shows you quality over quantity, right? We don't have many people. We have maybe, well, I think in both servers combined 300 people, right? I think member wise, but
Uh,
realistically,
I mean,
probably 250,
some of those are doubles. I would say more 200 to be generous. But
200. Yeah, 200, 215. It just shows you though that you don't need a thousand people to make it go around, right? We don't how many times have we advertised willingly on the server? Not many. I mean, Myth would always give us a plug, UUL or something like that, partnerly, but I would never advertise me. It's not how I do it. Usually, I do more backdoor stuff, and that's how I make it grow. But I guess just the benefit of knowing people. But let's move on, G. It's been a long one. Let's go to that bubble talk Super League. Well, let's look. Well, assuming that everyone that played won the top 12, because Eli, let's just throw him off the window. We have no idea.
there's a
That's it.
very real possibility he could lose his berth here if, especially if he just doesn't come back. So that's gonna have to be something we have to keep an eye out for. But besides that, let's just keep it going here.
So exclude Eli, the biggest winners out of this have to be the entire top 12 that play, except for Nam, maybe. And not my Sally's at a tournament. Nam didn't need a DQ win, but assuming that, you got to look at Lane. Sure, he got a DQ win, but the fact that Abion, Seth, and DJ, they all just collapsed or got outplayed, right? Or just didn't show up in DJ's case. You wonder, did Yepes really need that DQ win? No. But is he in a better spot than those three? Yes. If he beats Sting, I think he could be in a good chance. Sanford's in a really good spot, I think, G. Especially this fact of the matter is, if he goes out there and beats Myth, top 25 win, starts to sniff a little bit, I think that's could be something to look into. Yoshi did not need his Yoshi and Monkey did not need their whole people collapsing around them. But the good news for Monkey is he has captain on the other end. Yoshi basically needs Nam to win to get that quality win. Otherwise, it's just going to turn into a Caesar situation where quad 4 isn't enough. And then outside looking, I think Bowtie. You have to look at Bowtie and Toast. Bowtie playing Superior and Toast playing me. Those two guys, if they can beat those two, boy, oh boy, where could it go? Myth as well, but the thing with Myth, and the only thing I'll say with him, is Sanford, despite being a quad 2, he's in Neptune region, and there's just not many good wins. We have no idea what JT's going to do. So
Could we
realistically,
could we make the argument that Myth Sanford is a playoff game?
I think it is. It is a playoff game, especially more for Miss Sanford. I think right now, if I had to go off of normal circumstances because of the collapse of the 3 people ahead of him, I actually think he's in. If we had to go round by round, he'd probably be 14 or 15. So if he does somehow lose, I think he's still in. But then he's going to have to hope no bubble winner gets in. I think there's just no hope anymore for Seth, Abion, DJG. I don't see it. The only way they have any hope is if legit Eli has collapsed in the sense that he just can't play, and we don't get a surprise winner. Maybe one of them has to skate by. And in that case, you got to look as who has the best resume between the 3. But the cards are really going to come down for those 3. They got to hope Cap wins, right, takes care of business. They need a Vapor win for sure. They need a Myth win. They need a Stingray win. They need Bowtie to lose. They need ALP or Toasty to lose. They need a lot of help, and it's a tough spot to be in because now you're rooting on people you probably don't want to root, and you got to look at your resume. You got to whoever's left, you got to make sure your resume people. I wouldn't want to be in those 3 guys' spot. I think everybody 12th ahead. The only ones that might have concern is maybe Tago and Ghost, in the sense that hey, they had a lot of quad 4 victories. So maybe they might need to win a game just to confirm it. Lane, I think, with the strength of schedule, is pretty locked in. Even if he goes out there and loses to you or Tago in the next round,
Well,
even if he loses to
he did
Rad,
have a
I think he's
DQ
good.
win, so I don't know. We'll see, but he
I
did
think
have
the
a
strength of
DQ.
schedule, though, he did have a DQ, but the strength of schedule is something to look into. And he does also have tiebreaker, I believe, over Seth, which helps. So he does have some good tiebreakers, but yeah, there's not much to talk about. Really, if those 3 don't lose, there's nothing to talk about. So those 3 kind of gave us the only storyline, then of course whatever's happening with Eli. So that's why I got G. Nothing really to say. It was kind of a quiet round, really. Is that how you saw it?
Quiet is definitely a way to describe it, but
Something like that. Yeah.
I mean, if we talk about the top 12 being the big winners here, I mean, we look at I'm looking this year, we got a big block of red here between the top 12 and the bubble, so gives some good separation there. That's 3 people they can sacrifice to make sure they stay in the Super League top 15, but going to be interesting to see what these people below do. I think for Ghost, Lane, maybe Turner, Tago, this really comes down to which people in the bubble are looking to be contenders here, because the thing is, especially with Avi and DJ Seth, I just think they're done because I think the people they're hoping to win are just too close to the bubble to be people you want to hope to win. Like, why do you want Stingray to win? He's 20th right now. That's pretty close to where you are. And especially if he gets that win over Yepes, if Myth gets the win over Sanford, that could propel them right in there. So I think they're done no matter what. I think the loss just sealed their fate. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see which people who are below the bubble can rise to the occasion and which ones don't. They could be also fighting against each other as well, because assuming we go clean next round, and let's even be generous here, let's throw Eli out if he doesn't come back.
Yeah.
We have a bubble of 5 people all next to each other, 16th through 20th. If the top 12 all win, not all of them are making it in. So someone's going to have to miss out in that group, and I do believe someone will miss out in that group. It's just the question is, who will it be, and where will it happen? What will be the killing blow for their season? And we'll see what happens. Yepes, Sanford in a pretty good spot, but I do think they need to win their next matches to make sure they're in the field. If they lose those matches, I think they're in danger of missing. Yoshi, I think, needs to make a deep run. Even if Nam doesn't win next round, I think he needs to make a deep run. Monkey, I think, needs to make a deep run.
Oh.
And I think Stingray needs to win his playoff game, and I think he needs to win round 16. So I think all these players below the cut line have clear win conditions to make the field, but it's whether or not they're going to achieve them or not.
Problem for Monkey, too, G2 DQ. He's really behind. And that's the problem with him, is that, and the fact of the matter is one of those DQ wins he should have lost. I mean, he should have never won that one. We gave it to him, and he's always going to have to prove himself. So we'll have to look into. Yeah, go for it.
I mean, the glass shattered on his resume last tournament, so at this point, he's in free fall at this moment. He needs to find a way to fly before he hits the ground, because if he hits the ground, his season's over.
Got a shot. Cap is there. Maybe Brad, it's there. Right, he's in the right region to be. You want to be in Jupiter. That's the bet, or Venus. Those are the 2 regions you want to be in. Mars is a solid one too, especially with Ashley, right? Still there, Tago. You just don't want to be a Neptune. That's the big one. I think that's going to be the determining factor is what will happen with Nam. He controls the card in Sanford. If those guys lose, well, JT, even if he doesn't beat MGR, it's pretty much safe, right? He's pretty much locked in regardless.
I mean, even though he's
9-win
10th, he
season.
has enough wins. So
Yeah, just quantity beat the quality, Nick. It happens. But let's move on to the next topic, G. Not really much to say here on Super League other than we'll see how next round develops. Should be a big one. D2 Chip Talk, G. It's all you. I'll kind of fill in when I need to. Talk to us through it. What's going on there?
all right, so we're about to begin the D2 Championship here. I'm not sure when this episode's going to come out per se, but either the reveal is going to happen soon or it just happened. I'm not going to necessarily reveal who got in or not because we're not sure when this is going to come out, but format for the D2 Championship, 12 people make it in. 10. There's going to be 10 spots for auto bids and at larges. Auto bids go to the tournament winners, just like in D1. We had 2 tournament victors. Goldie in tournament 3, and in the most recent tournament, I don't know if we covered this, but Nightwalker wins the Acoustic August. Congratulations to him, and a phenomenal run, a potential clutch run also, because not really sure if he would have made the field if he did not get the victory. So gets the job done. 28-7 game record overall, which is absolutely insane. A lot of good wins in general, so had to work for it, but Nightwalker gets the victory there. Congratulations to him. Beats Background in the final 5-2, but besides those 2 auto bids, remaining 8 spots are going to be made out of at-larges similar to what we have in D1 here. Discussion about who has the best resume, who had the best season, most consistency, peak runs, all that stuff to determine the best players to make up the field. That has been locked in, but in terms of the reveal, I'm not sure if this has been done yet or not, so I won't necessarily reveal who the players are, but we do have the field locked in. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes, but I have been talking a lot about this 10 here, but I said it was a 12-person field. Those last 2 spots, I may have mentioned this in a prior episode, but the last 2 spots are going to be determined through 2 LCQ brackets that, in a way, you could consider them as tournament 5 for the D2 for D2, but 2 separate brackets to make up the final 2 spots. The winner of those 2 brackets will make the field as the 11th and 12th seeds. And then the D2 Championship will be double elimination also. So if you lose once, you're not out of it. You got to lose twice before you're officially eliminated. And then, of course, the winner of the D2 Championship will go into Super League as the 16th and final spot. Exciting times coming up ahead. The entire rule set is going to be best of 7 1 power play for the LCQ, and it's going to mostly follow the same for the D2 Championship. The only difference is during winners, losers, and grand finals, that'll be best of 9 1 power play. But I mean, it's really showing that this best of 7 rule set is really one of the most important ones to have locked down here, and we'll see who has it locked down, because some players here have been doing really well on the best of 7. Some players have needed best of 5 or even just best of 9 here, so we'll see who can clutch it out on best of 7 rule set. KT, I know you were part of the deliberations meeting for a little bit. More or less just listened in. For the most part, you did make your own list, but came very quickly. Fortunately clear that there were some things lost in translation, but I mean, any thoughts on this D2 Championship, the format, the hype building up around it? We're going to have a video reveal format for it. Going to be exciting stuff. Any thoughts on what we're looking forward to in terms of that, and what we could expect from the potential field?
Well, at the end of the day, I just couldn't figure it out. That really was my biggest problem. But regardless, though, there's a lot of new talent that I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. I think Short's been the biggest proponent of this, and I kind of agree. We need to get the best of 7 going. There's no excuse right there, man. Right? There's
Yep.
no. I know this year was unfortunate.
I think this year. I think I've told you this before in topic. I think this is the first time I mentioned this on air, but I think best of 5 was good for this year to introduce people to the way the league works, and then next year we'll probably move to best of 7 as a minimum for all tournaments going forward. But yeah, you can continue.
And also, Keith, I don't believe we need to. All right, guys, we're gonna send it best of 13 for it. We don't need that either. There's no need for that. But maybe if you feel comfortable in February, if you want to go throw in one best of 11 like we do in Super, or like we do in March, you want to add to it. I understand, but that's an off-season thing. Well, there's a lot of good players I'm looking forward to. I'm not going to reveal who are, because this will probably come out. I don't know when this will come. Maybe Friday morning. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. But regardless, there's a lot of good players. Just to kind of name a couple of the tournament winners, Goldie and Knight. Great job to those two, right? To win a tournament all season, they've looked fine. I'm always going to say nothing but great things about background BC, right? BC has been a rock solid stone all year. Alex, is he polarizing? Yeah. Alex is the modern day Tony Steele a little bit. He's a little polarizing. Can be hot headed, right? And it's good for the sport, though. It's good to see his emotions sometimes. They get the better of him, sure. But he's good for the sport. It makes the sport go around. He will be an interesting figure if he does move up, which right now is looking promising.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep. Again, top 8 of the D2 Championship get moved up into D1 next year. 9th and 12th will stay in D2 for next year, although they still would have a chance to get promoted if people who are in the top 52 for D1 decide to leave. So still an opportunity for them to jump up there, but not a guaranteed promotion. That's basically just going to be them sitting and waiting for the phone call.
yeah, the old phone call from the boss. But I think all these players that have a chance to move up or have put themselves in a top 10 or even a top 15 position, right? Because there's only 10 that make the field and 2 LCQ. If you finish top 15 over there, it's a good season for you. Right now, everyone's going to be promoted. Everyone's going to have a chance. The fact that you have a chance to even be there's some guys that are waiting for a fan vote, if you know what I'm saying. But there are some guys.
That's not happening. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Witty humor, G. Witty humor. You know what I'm saying. But point is, yeah, there's some guys that are at the lunch and they're on a picnic right now fishing, and there's some guys that are in the hunt. Right? We even had one guy leave the server because he thought his season was over. We had to bring him back and reel him back in, using some of the old bait in the back locker. But now, all joking aside, I look forward to seeing where it goes. There's a lot of great talent down here. I'm sure it'll adapt to whatever the conditions are in the championship format. I'm interested really to see what double elimination is. We've talked about all the time. Is it worth doing double elimination? I thought about double elimination for sure. Believe it or not, in a Final Four setting, let's say a Super League Final Four, maybe you do something where it's modified DE in the Final Four, something like that. That'd be something cool to look into. But do I ever want to see double elimination throughout? No, not in Division One. But in terms
that would
of
take too long, also. So not something
takes
we'd
too
probably
long.
see for a regular season.
No, and even then, at the end of the day, I don't even think the way we're tracking the way things are, the fact that we will have a full 64-man field for the most fixed field, we don't have as many bi-island players next year, might go away completely. It's going to mean the gaps are going to be a little longer. We're going to have to schedule more games. So realistically, I'm just interested to see it as an experiment. Really, Division Two is an experimental league, and I just want to see how it goes from there. Like I said, you guys had more deliberations in the list with you and Yoshi. Shout out to him, and yeah, see how it goes from there. That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, Yoshi's been great with D2 this year. Definitely been one of the bigger proponents of the division, and especially since he's a newer com member. He's more on the D2 side of things, but has been involved with the commission team this year. He's done a great job, all things considered. Been I would say definitely great with PR. I will say I think my one weakness is some of my PR, not necessarily like in terms of like, oh, I'm yelling at someone and screaming or something like that, or doing something terrible, not that type of PR, but definitely in terms of communications and whatnot, and greeting everyone, and being always available for everyone and whatnot. Obviously, a lot of stuff going on, so I think I could have been a little bit more on top of that. But in those cracks I left, I think Yoshi has been able to fill those very nicely and provide a welcoming environment for everyone here when I'm not able to. But again, shout out to Yoshi here. But that's going to be the D2 Championship format. It's going to be coming up soon. We'll probably cover that on the show. Very exciting stuff here. Maybe if we have like a little break in between the Super League and T5, we may have an episode on the D2 Championship specifically. Might be good to highlight some of those players a little bit more since we're going to the cream of the crop there. But we'll see what happens. Reveal show will be happening soon, or already happened, and LCQ will be going on as we go through the rest of this tournament 5.
All right, let's go into the next topic, Gene. It's our final topic of the day. Finally, we make some predictions here on this next round. We get a little preview. Let's get into it. We've been here a while, so let's go quickly. Let's see, preview. We're going to start off with the Venus region. The man coming in from Bi-Island, the defending T4 tournament winner, right? The man that picked the space theme. Mr. Spaceman Superior Tower. K Tower against Bowtie. I'm gonna go non CPU. I'm gonna go for my heart. Remember, this is still a new platform, so I'm gonna just this tournament. I'm gonna go for my heart. I know the CPU's made predictions, but I'd rather just express myself just this once, right? I'm gonna go Superior wins this one 4-3, and I think it's closer than people think. I think Bowtie is going to play a more ammo control style. Superior's not tested this bot much, and he wasn't really impressive in testing as terms of impressed with his gameplay. He was impressed with the features, but he wasn't really impressive in gameplay. There's not much data to read. I think he is well rested. He needs to shake a little rust, similar to Sanford. I'm not going to underestimate Bo. I know he's maybe outmatched here. I think he puts up a fight. Superior wins 4-3, but it'll be closer than people think. And Superior will solidify a Buy Island spot, maybe even double Buy Island because of the top 25 win. What do you think?
I mean, I think you can make an argument that the new bot testing was another session of rookie testing in a way, and I mean we've definitely seen some players play completely different than what they do in the rookie testing. I feel like that could be a case for Tapir. Has shown a lot of skills. He's up to 3 tournament wins this year, which is absolutely unprecedented. 2 in D2, 1 in D1. But I have Tapir winning this 4-2. I just don't see how Bowtie gets the job done here. Tapir is an absolute force to be reckoned with, and as long as he's locked in and loaded, should be good to go to get the victory here. Again, we saw him have a bit of a slip in May, but he made a mistake once, and he will only make that mistake once in his head. So I don't think Tapir slips up here. I have him winning 4-2 here. Not much else to comment. But Bowtie, I mean, has had a really good run. Big resurgence here at the end of the season. And if the run does end here, definitely a good way to end the year, and hopefully get we get even more improvements. Use this to propel ourselves to a big run in 2025.
Yeah, good year for Bowtie. No matter it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a win or a loss. Bowtie 5-win year. Winner is rumors of retirement. So happy for Bo. Next one, tough match. This is a tough one. The young boss, my boy, versus Allen. Oh man, this is really tough. They both play split ammo. I mean, and the problem is when you both. And Sanford said it. I'm playing myself in terms of Aaliyah. I felt the same way when I was playing Ashley. Really did. And it just felt like I was playing my younger self. I'm gonna go upset city. I think Allen is finally back. G. I don't think he's 100% back, as in he's back to his good self because he still has some issues going. I know work and whatnot. But this is a game where Allen, I think, needs him more than Chomik. Chomik, I think, he's going to be safe. I don't think a loss here is going to kill him. He may just drop a little bit from the buy spot in terms of he might have a worse spot of picking a buy because where is he at 8 right now, which is the top of a Group B. He may lose this game and had to drop back a little bit on picking a buy island spot for the individual buy islands in the weeks in the group stage. But I think Allen's got more to play for here. I really like split ammo versus split ammo, and usually Allen was great back in the day with it. I'm going to go off of history. I say Allen gets it done 6.
I'm actually going to agree. I'm going to go with Allen 6 here. I think something's going to unlocking potential here for Allen, and I know I said Chomik was looking for a big run for the buy. I do think it kind of falls apart here a little bit. Chomik's really looking to Chomik's already made this run here. Allen is looking to save his season here, and I don't think he's going to go on like win the tournament or anything like that, but I think he's going to do enough to make sure he's in D1 next year and not have to go through the relegation tournament. So I'm going to say 4-2 here, gets the job done. Maybe an emotional victory. We'll see what happens with that. I know he was pretty emotional after the win in the round of 64. We'll see what it's like in the round of 32. Sometimes the second win's sweeter. Sometimes the second win's just you're kind of used to it. But I think there's a lot of implication with this one because it would save him his spot in D1.
Yeah, give me a good matchup. Should be a fun one. And the rematch, oh man, Carson Logan, man, this is a tough one. You know, the old bot Carson had the edge, and Logan's coming in with a lot of momentum here. But Carson seems to have Logan's number figured out, and because of that, I think it'll be a closer game. I think Logan will put up a very good fight and get 3 wins, but something about Carson against Logan, this is one of the few players Carson has figured out. I think he has more to play for in a sense that I think if he wins this game, he's got 6. I'm going to go with Carson here, man. I think 4-3. I think it'll be closer than people think. I think Carson's got a good chance, though, to really start breaking into that Super League contention, made the bubble battle with another win, some opportunities ahead. K-Dog, give me it to me, 4-3. What do you got?
I think this is fortunate for Logan that this does not happen in the first round again, or like he didn't need this win to secure his spot, because obviously it's unfortunate to have this rematch again, especially after we saw this in round 64 last tournament. But I think for Logan, it's definitely a new platform, put up a really impressive performance. Carson beats someone who hasn't really been doing that great all year, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. I'm actually going to go Logan 4-3. Something's telling me I think something's working out well for this new bot with Logan, and I was impressed with his run against DJ Curtis. I think he continues a little bit of that momentum, similar to what Bowtie did last tournament. Because I think the problem for Carson is I think he's a good player, but the problem is usually he's underwhelmed in a lot of big moments, and I feel like this is another one of these situations where it lines up perfectly, where Carson could have a big run and then just loses to Logan 14 seed. I think Logan evens the series up 1-1 here, and we'll see what happens when it comes to possibly the third match, whenever that may be. But I think Logan evens it up here, wins it in 7, pulls off a big upset to go to the round 16 for the very first time.
That'll be interesting indeed. Jay, you said I was going to lose for sure if it was ALP. It's not ALP.
It's not
so
ALP. It's not
yeah,
ALP.
you're going to have to change the prediction. Who do you got? KT, Toe. Good friends. We know each other very well.
I'm going to make this brief here. I have you winning 4-2 here. Toaster Guys has blown away expectations for the year. He was definitely someone who was looking to be in that relegation battle, but phenomenal run in May. Made it all the way to the Final Four. But that might be the only bright spot of the season. I think KT's just kind of got too much for him. It's going to be too much to handle for Toaster Guy, and I think KT walks away with this one in 6. Because I think for KT, some people would argue when you're in his spot, it's maybe like experimenting, which I hate that term, but that's just what it is. I don't think KT's really going to do that here because he needs this more for his own morale's sake. He has gotten out in this round the last 2 tournaments, needs a victory here to prove that he can still have that capability of making that deep run, which he needs in Super League. So I think for his own sanity, KT's going to go all out here and get the victory here. Wins it 4-2, finally breaks through this round 32 curse that he's fallen himself into.
Yeah, Toaster Guy plays that style where I know it for sure. Get you to Uno, force the crack, and I just got to be prepared for that. That's it. I that's the biggest thing with Toast. Be prepared for that crack style, and I have to go back to Radin notes for sure. That's the last time I played someone crazy like that or Acosta. But we'll see. It could be a good game. Good game. Not going to say too much. I really like Toasty. He's a good friend of mine from New Zealand. Crikey. Right? So whoever gets that stream, we're going to be throwing some crikeys around, having a good time, mate. Crikey. But regardless, should be a good battle, my buddy. Yeah, no one even knows who he is. It's just me, really, and a monkey boy. A W guy, you know him. But point is, we're the only two that really know Toast. So we'll see. A good old buddy from the ORG community. Love that dude. All right, next match. You can't predict. Upset City all day. I got G4 too. I'm not impressed with Christian Tago, man. I've been the biggest Tago critic all season. Now, I wasn't the first 3. I was impressed with him, but ever since that Final Four, whatever that was, and the fact that he's just disrespecting Bot, I don't like when you disrespect Bot. That's a sacred place, right? Cody and I built that. Ashley and I built that a little bit. Then the other guys built it. I think you got to respect all elements of this league. And I think G's coming in here that he could be playing at the regular club and still show up something different, right? And I think because of that, because G's playing an unconventional style we haven't seen all year, and he's admitted that I'm just out here with house money. It's a dangerous game to play. I got to go UG 4-2. I think this could be it's not going to end Tago's world in terms of, I think he still could make it, but it will kill his buy hopes in terms of not picking an optimal buy, and maybe that's for the better for him. Maybe he's saying, maybe I don't want to be on that optimal buy. Maybe just get me wherever, but we'll see. I think you get the job done, G 4-2. Any thoughts on Tago?
We'll see what happens come game day.
Fair enough. Let's move on. G, Lane Radin. We have no idea what's going to happen when Lane on this bot. Haven't seen him play on this bot. Radin found a way with resiliency over Abion. I really do want to pick Radin to win this. I know it's crazy. You never thought KT, what? Because I think he has something figured out on those 7-card starts. But the problem is, I think Lane has more to play for, and I don't think Lane is going to be the guy to sit back and you're not waking to be. He was ready to go against Brando and he couldn't play. It's a non-stream games, right? So that even makes it more incentive for him to just get the old engine warmed up. I'm going to go all day. I'm going to go all day Lane. Insane Lane train. I'm still on that train. I think he wins 4-1. I don't know if Radin's going to have enough in the tank. Give me Lane all day. What do you got, G?
I'm going to have Lane 4-1 here, and I'm mainly bringing this down to the fact that I think Lane's going to come into this game with a game plan, and that's usually what he's done in these last few matches. And I think this new version of Lane's going to be more prepared here. It definitely counters more of these crazy styles like Rodden tries to bring to the table. And I think Lane's going to come in here with a plan, not get phased, and walk away with this one 4-1. And That'll be it for round season, which that would be a 2-win season, which I think is 2 more wins than a lot of people were expecting. So went above expectations here. So congratulations to Rodden on that. But Rodden could get a 3rd win of the season here, and then maybe claim that he is the 10th or 11th, something
11th.
like the 11th best player in the league. Which again, that's not how it works. But yeah, we'll see what happens with this one. This will be an interesting one for either the right and wrong reasons.
For sure. We'll go to Zay Ashley. Ashley coming off that crazy series against Aiden. Zay coming off an interesting series against Pac. Man, I really think this is probably the last round Ashley sends it. I think she's going to be content moving into this next round. I think the after might be a little bit different, but this round, it's her 100th game series, first rookie to do it for sure. Too much on the line here. I think Ashley wins this one 4-2. Too much on the line. I don't think she's going to experiment at all, in my opinion. Not this round. Maybe it would be the next round, if anything. I think she'll make another Sweet 16, add to her already ridiculous season this year. Remember, she didn't even play T4.
Nope.
And still has the most. I mean, really has the most series wins, in my opinion, of the real rookies. Because you gotta think if she had played T4, probably would have been at 15 or something. I think she gets her 12, ties the league record to get 12 in a season, right? And then we'll see where it goes from there. But I think Ashley's got too much to play for. It's been a great season for Zay, all things considered. It ends here 4-2. Give me Ashley. What do you got?
4-1. I don't think Ashley's going to have much of an issue with this one. I think Zay had a good performance in the prior round, but I think the problem for Zay is they have issues in their game plan that kind of messed them up. And I think there is some mentality issues that still linger, and I think Ashley's a good player of exposing those. So I think Ashley's going to get ahead 2-0. Zay's going to get a bit frazzled, maybe get a game win here or there, but I still think this ends 4-1 here. I don't see how Ashley loses this unless she gets hosed in some sort of way.
All right, not fair enough there for sure. A lot of rookies making her 100 too. See how it goes. Crazy match, G. Yepez Stingray. This is going to be a crack show. My word. Oh man, really can't self-call it anymore. I did say in the podcast though, G. I said Yepez and Stanford would bump their way into Super Bowl. I have to stick with it. If I'm being true, I think Yepez wins this one 4-3. But Sting has really showed me something on this new bot, where instincts do matter a little bit, and you got to play a little cracked out to work. Just a little bit. And I think he is one of those guys that plays that controlled, cracked out chaos. And Yepez the same way. Something's got to give, but Yepez needs just a little bit more. I think that old, I don't want to lose my chance to be a Super League back-to-back champion. I think he wants that back in his pocket. That's going to be enough of a motivating factor. I think Sting's had a good season, all things considered, as a rookie, and he'll just accept that 5-5. Give me Yepez 4-2.
I also have Yepez 4-2, and I think Yepez has way more to fight for than Stingray here because he wants to defend his Super League championship, and if he doesn't make the field straight up, that would be absolutely terrible for him. So he wants to make sure he's at least in the field and has a shot to defend it, even if he has to go through this first round of the groups again. But yeah, I think for Yepez, he's kind of turned it on these last few tournaments, and he is making sure he has a very, very late season push to try and make it in to make it into the top 15 because he's been on the outside of the top 15 most of the season. So really trying to find that last late season push to get in. Stingray, I think, still has a few issues with his game plan. I didn't really see much from Kev to convince me he's going to bring something that we haven't seen before or we saw in April that led him to his regional final run. But yeah, interesting season for Stingray. Definitely some highs, definitely some lows if this is where it ends. But yeah, big playoff game here coming up ahead. Loser, I don't think makes Super League.
No, it's truly a playoff game. Don't see much of a other way around it. Next game, G. This is a closer one than you think. Brad and Peter. Brad playing his 100th game series. Peter really looks good on this bot. You know, I think he won a practice cup or was close to it. I know it's cup, but he seemed really comfortable. He beat Ard, round 1 Ard, but round 1 Ard needed card history. Peter kind of needs card history too. I think Brad just gets away with murder barely, G. I think this comes down to a last game power play. I'm going to go Brad 4-3. I don't think this is going to be as easy as people think. I think Peter's looking really good right here. I think next year he's back. I think the card history and number efficiency is starting to become a trend again. Not just all it's there, becoming a trend again. It's giving a lot of vibes that this is old school Uno. And I think Peter will be back to his best self, but I think Brad just has too much to play for in a sense that he's just trying to lock double buy. You know he isn't going to experiment on his 100th game series. If it was any other thing other than that, maybe I consider Peter, winning it outright, but it'll go 7. Give me Brad. What do you got?
I'm going Brad in 2 or not Brad, I mean 4-2,
What?
not Brad in 2. Brad in 6 would be 4-2. I don't know. I just have not been impressed from Peter at all this season. I think he had a solid game against Ard, but he's coming up against someone who won the Masquerade May. I haven't really seen enough from Peter to convince me he's going to bring it in for a late season push. I just think it's not been the year for him, and I just don't see any hope of him making that late season push to suddenly, redeem the rest of his season. But yeah, 4-2 Brad. I think he moves on, continues that push to be the number 1 overall seed. And for Onjack, it's going to be a long off season to just think about what happened here and how to fix what went wrong.
Yeah, it will be an interesting game. Now, see how it goes for sure from both in terms of just Peter now getting in. He's been in a hard game scenario before. Now Brad goes there. Gee, I know where you're going with this one. I think we both kind of know. Captain Monkey's got a real good chance to make a run, but I just think Cap with the low tide. He even said, "I'm here to win the title." That means win the tournament. Cap wins this one 4-2. I think Monkey's run's going to be ending here. It's going to be a lot of questions in the offseason of can Monkey figure out something else to evolve his game other than just March and April. He's really good in March and April at the beginning of the year, but the middle of the year and at the end he tails off. Same story, same verse. I think Captain's low tide with his luck and his game style where he just knows how to read cards on low starts is just impeccable. He's going to be a threat come Super League. He gets a job done here, starts threatening Double Bye Island. Give me all day Cap 4-2. What do you got?
I have Captain 4-0. Captain is fired up and locked in. And
4-0, sweeping.
I think that is the disaster situation that Monkey did not want. If Captain was similar to what he was in Tournament 3, I think he'd have more of a chance. But Captain's locked in. He wants to win the tournament, and with the way he plays, I just think that spells disaster for Monkey. It's a decent recovery against Laura, but he's going up against someone who's like a genuine threat here, and he is really kind of buckled under pressure against these type of players. So I unfortunately don't see how Monkey wins this one. I'm just going to go for a sweep here.
That'd be a heat check if that happens for sure. But you never know. You never know for sure. We don't really see many sweeps in usually later rounds, but that would be one for sure. Well, unfortunately, G, I'm going to go straight to the punch. Caesar wins this one 4-2, and it's not going to feel like a win. And the reason why is he knows that there was just a bigger fish out there if it hadn't been for the situations. I think he just has to take care of business. A non-stream, yeah, I think this is actually what Caesar needs. Back-to-back non-stream is what he needs, right? Build a little bit of momentum. Don't put yourself in a pressure environment. Stay locked and loaded. Get the wins here because you need someone on the other end. So I think Caesar gets the win 4-2 over Rod. I think Roger's going to put up a fight, but we haven't seen him on this bot. And with less data, it's hard for me to read. What do you think?
I have Caesar 4-1. I think after the game we're going to see this again. But you can't see it on the podcast, but
I see it. Yeah.
I think AB Rogers shows his head. But this is the problem. This is a matchup for Caesar that lines up where he could get the win, but this is not a matchup that helps him with his resume. And I feel like Rogers has besides that one victory in April, he's just not really shown anything all year. So I don't know. I just don't see a lot of fight from Rogers here at this point. But he did what he needed to do, I guess, in terms of staying in D1. But yeah, it's not looking great right now because Caesar is usually good at beating down on these lower seeded opponents. It's just the problem for Caesar is when he gets to the higher seeds, or if he can even find them. So.
Well, we'll see if he can find one here. And, it's crazy, G. This is a really good match on paper. Ghost plays that rapid, fast style, right, what we all love and know. But we also have Cody who plays one of the more he can only beat polished players, right? The thing is, though, Ghost on higher starts is very polished. It's just the low starts. I think Cody likes this matchup. I really do. Because I said Caesar would win this game, unfortunately for Caesar, he's not going to like this. I think Lamas wins this one 4-3, and Caesar's going to have to wait to find that big fish. Something about Caesar on a pod not getting a big game. It's going to strike again. I got a gut feeling Cody wins this game, finds a way over Ghost. I think Ghost is too polished on the high stuff, ironically, and that's where Cody cooks, is the high stuff. The low stuff, yeah, but the problem for Ghost is he usually splits one time he's low, one time he's high. And all it takes is one luck game to go in Cody's way. I think Ghost is on a fine line here. I think he's in for a harsh reality. Give me Llamas 4-3. It's going to be a closer game than people think. Llamas gets the upset. What do you think, G?
Again, I feel like I've just not been very high on Lamas as of late. I feel like his season's been kind of disastrous. Probably not some parts probably not to his own fault, but I don't know. You say this style could work. I kind of disagree because I think if Ghost runs this quick style, that could throw Llamas in for a bit of a loop. I have Ghost winning this 4-2. I think some of that mix-up will work out. I think those low card starts will work out great for Ghost, but when it comes to those longer ones, Llamas is good on the longer card starts, but Ghost is very polished on it, and I feel like Ghost will find a way to close those ones out, and I don't know. I think for Llamas here, it's really just trying to figure out what went wrong this year and trying to make sure that it doesn't happen again next year. I know I'm like a Debbie Downer on this and whatnot, and probably Llamas hates hearing this because I feel like I've been down on him for a lot of the year. Which like I don't want to try to disrespect him because I think he's a great guy, but it's just like something is just not clicking here, and whether it's the card luck or what's happening on the table or something, something's just not working here. I don't think he needs to have a complete rework per se, like some of these other players, but I think some tweaks here and there for going into next season would be good. But who knows? Maybe he gets the win, keeps the season going. You never know. I know you said like if he makes the regional finals, he's in the Super League field. I think that's a bit ridiculous.
No. Final
But
four. Final four. Final four.
I, st-
Not regional.
I still don't see it, especially if you have like a guy like Peter Onjak make the regional finals. But uh, we'll see. But again, I haven't been very high on Llamas, which is unfortunate. But I don't know. I just have a little more faith in Ghost right now.
We'll see. Yeah, he needs Brad or Cap. If he can get a Brad or Cap rematch, that's where I think Cody would get a chance at the Final Four because then he would have a KT win, a Ghost win. Then you start thinking, okay, Quad 1, he's starting to build that up, but it's a long stretch for him. Gee, it's a tough game to predict because I had just mentioned earlier in the program, Nam struggles on new environments, and this is the problem, right? And unfortunately, I think he's going to run to the gauntlet that is Brock. I think Brock wins this one 4-3. I've been the biggest Nam man all year, but this is a new environment. He just lost his 100th game series. He won't be the first rookie to do it now due to scheduling. And he's a young kid, right? Those things get to the youngster. He's 14, man. He's doing a great job of holding his own amongst guys who are married and some that have kids of their own. But in my opinion,
I mean, you don't have to put it like that, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. I mean, he's a youngster, and I think that affects him. I think it's going to affect him too much here. Brock plays this really good solidified style. I think if Brock wins this game, he's back in Super League contention. A Quad 1 win, right? Quad 1 for sure. Brock's got some cooking here on this new bot. I think Brock wins 4-3 now. He's just struggling in new environments. But I will make this prediction. He may lose here, but watch out come Super League. That's the environment he needs. That's where he'll cook. Whether it's in groups or by island, whatever he gets, I think he's going to cook either way. So I think he'll take the L here, but he'll cook back hard in Super League. What do you think, G? I go Brock 4-3.
I mean, you knew from my predictions in the last episode, I'm going to go Brock here. I'm probably saying like a 4-2 here to be a little more on the sparing side because I don't know if this is going to go 7. But I just feel like Brock, I feel like, has something that he has not shown all season and is now or never here at this point. I'm putting my chips in with Brock, even though I have been so negative on him for most of the year because I've just been straight up disappointed because I expect so much more out of Brock. I know he's capable of being a great player, but he hasn't shown it yet. I think this is an opportunity where he can finally break through and show it and start this potential deep run into a possible Final Four, maybe even a tournament victory. Start off well against Nick. I think he just needs to do the job here against someone who is likely in the Super League field. But where he lands in the Super League field for seeding is still very much up for debate here because despite being at 10 wins, it's a very quantity over quality resume. So that could very easily launch Nam into the groups. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it will be interesting for Nam. Does he stay on singular by island? It won't be double by if he does lose, but will he stay on the singular by island? We'll find out. See, probably this is the hardest game to predict. This is legit. I don't know where to go with this one.
Not for me.
Yoshi Vapors is so tough, man. You know, I really want to go with Yoshi bad, and he's talked about he needs Nam on the other side. He needs good people on the other side. Yeah, I went against him last round at World. I guess maybe that's the move. I've been going with him all season. He loses. I go against him again. Maybe I'll reverse psycho. I think Vapor though will something about T5 Vapor. It does exist. He looks really good at the end of the season. I'm going to go Vapor 4-3. I think Vapor has to win the whole thing. Where Yoshi probably thinks, well, okay, this round, and who knows what the other side. I don't think Yoshi has to win the whole thing. I think Vapor does. I think Vapor goes all in, chips on the table. Give me the old. I can't believe I'm saying this on the pod. Give me the old vaporizer. August Vapor turns back the clock from last year and wins this game 4-3. What do you think, G?
I just don't know. I feel like I have Yoshi 4-3 here. I just have not been very impressed with Vapor all season, and even though he won 4-0 against Acosta, I didn't really see enough there to make me convinced he's on his way to a potential run. I know we talk about how T5 Vapor is a thing, but we've also seen how some of these T5 moments, especially last year, have just kind of quickly fallen apart. We talked about T5 Clay. That didn't really happen this year. We talked about
Oh yeah.
Drip possibly making a deep run. That didn't end up happening. And then we also talked about what's it called? Who are we looking? Who are we looking at? Ziamba maybe? No.
That
We,
was you. That wasn't me. But
no,
yeah.
it was probably. I think it might have been just Mac maybe being able to make another run. That just didn't happen. So I don't know. I just don't have enough faith in Vapor to make the run here. I think Yoshi has way more to play for. Obviously, Vapor could still fight his way into the Super League field, but I think Yoshi is way more obtainable. So I would say 4-3. I think this does go close, but I don't know. I just don't think the T5 Vapor comes alive this year.
We'll see. It's gonna be a good match. A playoff game for both. Can Vapor find the clock and turn it back? That's really all it's gonna be for him. Another game I have no idea what to think, G. I really don't know. JT MGR.
If this was earlier in the year, this would be a very easy prediction for me. But with everything going on right now, this is actually
There's
kind of a
just too
difficult
much
one.
going on. Yeah, there's just too much going on. I mean, is JT really going to be focused and locked in? Is Grim ready to take it? I'm going to go JT 4-3, but I don't feel confident about this one. I think Grim could really pull the upset off. JT is going to be extremely distracted. I know he's going to get the game in, but I don't know. I think JT is going to be ready for Super League. I don't know if he's going to be ready for. I'll give him the win off the sense that Grim. I don't think it's going to win. It's capped to say he's just going to win a tournament because he created the bot. I think I've held back on that stance, but I think JT he just has enough motivation to get the win because it's Grim. But I think that's as far as he goes. He gets the win here and that's it. What do you think, G?
I think there's the argument in place of whether or not MGR would have beaten Drip if that matchup did happen, but based off the circumstances and based off how I know that distractions can play a huge part in how a player does, I'm actually going to go MGR winning this 4-2. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 7, but I think with based off how these distraction games go, I think 4-2 is a more reasonable result. So going for the upset here. I don't think MGR has exactly the right game plan to go on a big run for a tournament victory here, but I think with his opponent being distracted and whatnot with marriage and everything, and him just kind of being ready, locked, loaded to try to get as far as he can in this tournament. I don't know if he ever made around 16 before, but if not, be his first. But I think the cards will just fall right for MGR, where he get a victory here. Gets a good win to tip off the season, and I think he exits in the next round, depending on no matter who he gets there. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I have the upset going 4-2 with MGR, but will be interesting to see how the distractions will play out for Turner here, and whether or not that will affect him or not.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. JT, I think no matter what, like you said, G, and we think many people have said, it's all about that quantity for JT, right? He gets another win, 10 wins, even if he does 9, it's going to be enough. Now, the last match, boy, oh boy, it's a rematch from 2023 June. I think Mitt's in for a rude awakening. Sanford got the rust off. I'm going 4-2. I think he will get 2 Plan A wins, but the problem, G, is we said it all year. What happens when he gets to Plan B, C, D? Problem is Sanford can go 20 deep. I think he's back and checked in. It may not be full checked in, but Sanford knows card history. If he gets in Super League, he's there. You don't want to awake the beast. Him and Yepes, the beast being awakened. The beast wins this one. He gets 107 wins in his career. Bye-bye, Myth. Good season regardless. 5 wins. You got to appreciate that considering he was supposed to be in D2. What do you think?
My concern here is if Plan A works the wonders, and I don't know if Sanford's really experienced this type of play style before. Because I don't think he's played captain yet.
He
Correct me
played
if I'm
mid
wrong.
last year.
But this is a different myth though. This is not the same myth
That's
as
true.
last year.
That's true.
So this really, in my opinion, this comes down to how the first two games fall. If Sanford goes up early, I think he wins. But if Myth goes up 2-0, it's over. I think he's playing A City is going to go all the way with that. So this really comes down to how I think this goes. Does Plan A City work out? And also, how does Sanford adjust to this? Because I don't think he's ever played this style before. He played against this style before, so it's going to be tough. This is a must-win game for Sanford, in my opinion.
Toaster guy, he played Toast, but that was cracked out.
I don't think Toaster guy is comparable to Myth or Captain though. I just don't think so. You know what? I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt to Sanford. I know he's had a kind of a rough season here or there, but I'm gonna go in favor of him. I'm gonna say finds a way to shut it down, because if he could shut it down, I think he wins this no problem. It's just whether or not can he shut it down, which sometimes you just can't. So I'm gonna say he shuts it down. I'm gonna say he gets a 4-1 victory, moves on to the next round. But I legitimately think this could go either way. In my opinion, this was the hardest matchup to predict. Not necessarily because of where he falls in terms of how talented both these players are, because both of them are talented, of course, but in different capacities. It's just really about, does Plan A City work? Because Plan A City is very difficult to determine going into a matchup, because if it works, you're going to blow away with it, as we saw in the prior round. But if it doesn't, it really comes down to whether the player can adjust and adapt to it. And we've seen Myth kind of crumble sometimes this season when it doesn't work out. So
will be a good one, G. It will be a good matchup regardless. I think there's a lot of anticipation with this round. The big storylines is who's on the bubble, right? Who can bounce their way. You gotta look at your Pez, Sanford for sure. Yoshi Vapor playoff game. Obviously, the relegation field will be set. What will happen with Alan Chomik? That should be set pretty early too, considering how they're both guys are on a waiver day.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it, G. Hopefully, it's a better round. Hopefully, no issues with the bot, right? Or Discord, for that matter. Some of it wasn't even the bot, so it was just Discord, right? But regardless, I think that's all we're gonna leave it off of. I know we would do something more special, but man, we've been at this for how long now? 2 hours or something?
We're at 241. This has been the longest episode of the podcast by far. So thank you all for staying in, listening for this long, if you have.
Yeah. Welcome to a new era, G. Hopefully not all of these are going to be like that, but we had so many issues the last round. 6 DQs, bot issues, API issues, D2 chip, relegation talk, Super League.
Yep. Lot to talk
next
about.
year will be the same. What?
A lot to talk about.
Yeah, a lot to talk about. Yeah, and I think T5 next year is going to be the same way, because it's just that's how the beast is in T5. So much happens around this time of year. It's playoff season. A lot to talk about. Well, for myself and G, thank you guys for tuning in. Check us out on Apple, of course, Spotify, and our home base on YouTube. And leave us a review. Who do you think is going to be the Super League? Do you think Abion choked it hard? Do you think Clint's ever going to come back to the server? And your thoughts on the situation that's going with Allen for relegation? Let us know below. And for all of us here, I want to thank you guys. We'll have a lot of cool things coming soon. See us for a D2 reveal. Check us out Friday afternoon, I believe. That's what G scheduled it for in the meeting, somewhere Friday afternoon. We'll have this episode out early, too, before that. Hopefully on Friday as well in the morning. Give you a double dose. Good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you back with a little bit of Starburst 16 preview. And, of course, we'll recap the Telescope 32. Relegation, finish that up. And, of course, who's in that Super League bubble conversation now? That's the Telescope as we wide-eye into the unknown. Goodbye, everybody.